What are you doing tonight? Because Applebee's has new half-price appetizers that'll make late nights great nights every night. From boneless buffalo wings and brewpub pretzels to chicken wonton tacos and more, your favorite scrumptious shareables are half the price from late night to later night. So call your crew, squad, BFFs, or gather some loose acquaintances and get to Applebee's after dark for half-price appetizers. Turn up, get lit, it's live. Whatever they're saying these days, do it for half the price at Applebee's. For a limited time, dine-in only. Price and participation may vary.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
You are listening to the Flagship Podcast with your hosts, Joe Lanza.
The fucking sun sucks. I don't know what you people see in the sun. I don't know how you people do the sun. It's just the dirt worst. I want nothing to do with it. I'd be content never going out in the sun again.
And Rich Crage.
This is the dumbest show. I cannot believe these people. Some people pay us $10 to listen to the show live. This is what we give them for 45 minutes.
Been doing this for 10 years. Why?
We're bigger than ever. More people listen to us than ever.
Why?
And we are live here on the Flagship Podcast. I am Rich. He is Joe. Joe, I don't have to do the whole king of pay-per-view prediction, all that sort of stuff. Do I have to do that every single week in perpetuity, or are we done with that now?
If you'd like to. I mean, I would
I
accept
don't. No, that's all right. Maybe next maybe next premium live event from AEW we can do it. So, did you correctly predict the amount of Peacock linear eyeballs for the Money in the Bank premium live event, or no? Because if you didn't, then we're not going to do it this month.
No, I didn't put a single second of thought
into the linear eyeballs. Was that what was the linear eyeballs thing? I don't even remember what linear eyeballs were. That was a Barrios, like the last.
Barrios.
That was like the last gasp of George Barrios. Linear eyeballs, yeah. What was that? Even, what were they supposed to indicate? What were the linear eyeballs doing?
I don't remember, but it was something really stupid, and he doesn't have a job anymore. Yeah, I don't remember the specifics of the linear eyeballs, but I think he went back to that one twice.
I think he did, yeah. And it's still a joke that gets used sometimes, but now I don't even remember the full context of the linear eyeballs joke. But that's all right. But no, you did not correctly predict the linear eyeballs for the Peacock Premium Live event. But that's fine because we are going to review that a little bit later. We have a ton to get to this week. It is a slow news week, but I think there's a whole lot. It's slow in terms of like big, giant, ridiculous stories like Vince McMahon is no longer the CEO of WWE. But there's a lot of little stuff here and there. We're going to talk Money in the Bank. We're going to talk about Against All Odds from Impact. We got Death Before Dishonor, Ring of Honor taking some shape. We got some big matches announced for that one. You will not believe it, but the future of sports entertainment will have to wait. It will not happen this weekend because the Wrestling Entertainment Series show from Nottingham, England has been canceled. So we'll talk about that and all the build-up to that. Noah's got a big show coming up next week as well. G1's coming up a little bit. Plenty of stuff going on in the world of wrestling. So yeah, there's not big, giant, huge news, but there's enough little nuggets and stuff here and there.
Yeah, I had you on mute. I've got an emergency situation here. This is awkward. I have to go for a second.
Okay.
If you want to get started with the topic, I should be back in a second.
Got it. Okay.
I'll be right back now.
No problem. But you put yourself on mute, and I got this. All right. So Joe has an emergency, but that is okay because you have me. And I have you, and we're all here on the Flagship Live. So as I said, we're going to touch on all of those topics and more during this show. A few little quick hitters. We actually wanted to start the show with a couple quick hitter news items. And I think I'll start actually with the latest on Sasha and Naomi, because this one is really, really quick. There's not a whole lot that we can add, but let me get the exact wording that we have. The no-dose chat room is we'll find out what the reason is for Joe. I have some theories, but we'll see. He's at a minute, and I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, this comes from Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful.com. Says PW Insider has reported. So I guess PW Insider is the actual topic here. PW Insider has reported that Sasha Banks and Naomi were removed from WWE's internal roster. Now, I don't know what that exactly means. I don't think that we had any other follow-up from anybody else. I do know that then people followed up. The snoops online were able to find out that Sasha Banks and Naomi both changed their social media bios to read professional wrestlers. So no longer has WWE anywhere in their profiles, all the other stuff. So I don't know. Again, this is a weird story that I don't know that I don't know that I have anything else to add to it all that much. It's at this point we've said our part. We've said what we can. They stay or they go. They return or they don't return. That's kind of where we're at this point. And there's really nothing else to say about it until we actually see them pop up somewhere else, until an official word comes out that they've been released, an official word comes out that they are no longer employed by the company. Like, internal roster, I don't know what that means. I don't know if that just means like, hey, don't write them into anything for the show right now. I don't know if that means, I don't know what the removed from the internal roster is. I don't know who looks at the internal roster, what the internal roster means. I don't know exactly what that is. So we'll see what ends up happening with this story. But from all intent, it does appear that we are getting closer and closer to them being done in WWE. Now, again, that can totally change, and they can come to some negotiation, or they can get to the negotiating table, or whatever ends up happening could happen. You never know until you know. You never actually know what these people are gone from any company until it's official. But it does feel like there's at least a little bit more smoke to the fire here with Banks and Naomi both changing their bios to read professional wrestler, and that PW Insider report that says internal roster, they've been removed from there. So I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening. Very, very curious next steps for both. I think, obviously Sasha is going to have every avenue to get a new job, anywhere else in the world of wrestling, if she so chooses, which I imagine she would. I mean, maybe she does try out Hollywood for a little bit. Maybe she decides to try something different for a little bit. But I am under the impression that she's probably just going to stick with pro wrestling, and obviously AEW would be the obvious landing spot for her there. Naomi, I think Naomi is talented, obviously nowhere near on the level that Sasha Banks is, but that's not a slight against Naomi. It's just that Sasha Banks is, to me, one of the better women's wrestlers maybe of all time, at least in America. So I mean, Sasha Banks would be picked up immediately by anybody the second she's free. Naomi might have to work a little bit harder, but I imagine if there's, it wouldn't take long for her to find, bookings or find a, if, again, and one of the things we always see when people get released from WWE is that there's a price point that they go to. And we'll talk about this with the Wrestling Entertainment Series, whatever the hell thing in England, is that they were booking a lot of people that never get booked anywhere else. But ex-WWE people that never take any of the bookings, because a lot of ex-WWE people, and Joe and I talk about this all the time when people get released, there's like two different ways or a couple different ways that people go about it. Some people go, I'm going to prove them wrong, boom, and they hit the indies and they hit the ground running and they go and they're at it and they're taking every booking they can, and the second they can work, they're working, and the second they can prove people that they're great, they'll do it. When they can prove that WWE screwed up, they'll do it, and they'll get out there and they'll work, and some people works out great. People like Drew McIntyre ended up getting rehired because he was so damn good on the indies that he basically forced them to rehire him, and there's plenty of other people that have followed that path as well. There's also the path of price yourself completely out of the market and basically don't take a booking unless someone wants to pay you this gigantic fee that you're asking for. Now, I'm not saying that Sasha and Naomi are either of those two, but there is that does exist. There's a lot of people that we've gotten, oh wow, this could be interesting if they work here and that, they go here and they go here and they go here, and that sort of stuff. And it never ends up actually happening because these people, they don't want to get paid. The idea of going back to getting X amount of dollars to do an indie shot and it's for some, demeaning's maybe not the right word, but it feels beneath some people to do that. And you can tell those people, you can tell who those people are because they don't get booked anywhere. They don't appear anywhere. We talked about Kalisto a couple weeks ago, where you're not seeing Kalisto a whole lot of places. The reason why is because he's not getting out of bed for the X amount of dollars of the gigantic figure. And Joe ended up sending me the figure, which is just absolutely absurd. It was like 2 times the figure that I thought it was going to be. But, that's why that guy isn't working all over the place. There's other guys that you can tell that's like, oh man, why doesn't X, why is he not working elsewhere? Well, he just either doesn't want to, or his price is just too high and no one's really meeting it. And I don't know. And then that is always a realistic possibility, especially with people that have only known WWE. And in Naomi and Sasha Banks' case, Sasha, I know, did a little bit of indies and a little bit of indie shot or whatever, but effectively all she's really known over the most of her professional life is WWE. And Naomi, yeah, completely, all that she knows is WWE. So the idea of, getting off to a VFW hall for, X amount of dollars is, maybe not the most exciting or thrilling or thing that somebody wants to do. So I don't know. It's hard to say. Sasha, I think, will get picked up immediately. Sasha will be good. I don't know about Naomi. I just don't have a good read on what Naomi's future is going to be in professional wrestling, whether she wants a future in professional wrestling, whether she's willing to go on the grind, because I think she is going to have to grind a little bit more than Sasha. Sasha obviously will not. Second Sasha is free. The second Sasha makes a post that she's free, everybody's going to be calling her. AEW is going to be calling her that second, and she'll be picked up and scooped up pretty quickly. I don't know if Naomi will be. So, Joe, are you with us yet?
Yes.
Okay, emergency averted. Okay, you good?
Yeah.
Is everybody good? Everybody's good? You're good?
Yeah, my wife cut her finger chopping onions.
Oh, no, that's not good.
So the kids ran up here in a panic, saying that she was bleeding all over the place. So she doesn't need stitches or anything. We got it cleaned up. It wasn't that bad. So everything's fine.
Are you sure? Because that if it's here, I don't care. I'll do the show.
No.
I will do a solo flagship. I'm not against it.
No, her hand was a mess when I went down there, but when we cleaned it all up and washed it off, it's nothing that requires
there you go.
stitches or trip to the hospital or anything. So
see, this is why I don't like onions, man. You never know what's gonna happen with onions.
She's bandaged up, and she's finishing making my dinner is what she's doing. No, but I finished chopping the vegetables because I was like, listen, I'll handle the rest of these vegetables.
Yeah, you take a breather. Yeah, you sit this one out. You sit the rest of the vegetable chopping out for a minute. So.
Yeah, go get your Neosporin and the Band-Aids. I'll finish chopping these vegetables, and I'll throw out this onion that's got a quart of blood on it, and and then we'll go from there. But no, everything's fine. No need to stop the show, much to your chagrin, and we're good to go. What are you talking about?
People speculated that you had you had the shits, and I was going to say, nah, Joe's.
No.
You wouldn't say I'll be back in a minute. I've there's been pre-show Joe has to shit. It's not a minute. It's a little bit longer.
I honestly would have just said, hey, I got to go take a shit.
That's the other part too. Yeah.
So no, this was yeah. So no, it's all taken care of. Everything's fine.
Good to go. All right.
What are we talking about?
I was just briefly talking about Naomi and Sasha. Just the obviously the internal roster report. I don't know exactly what that means or who gets that or what but it does feel like we're finally maybe moving forward a little bit in this. Naomi and Sasha changing their IG bios to professional wrestler, so no longer putting WWE in there anymore. So I don't know. It feels like we're moving towards the next step, but who the hell knows at this point?
I heard the tail end of what you had to say. I think obviously Tony Khan will back up the Brinks truck for Sasha Banks. She's a legitimate difference maker.
Oh yeah, the minute Sasha is free, the minute anybody says you can call her now, everybody's going to call her, and Tony's going to be the first to call her.
Yeah, and then who knows? Maybe she'll want to bounce around Japan a little bit to scratch that itch. She has all the power. I mean, she'll call her own shots, and but make no mistake. I mean, that's Khan knows that's if you could hand pick anyone from the WWE roster, she might be the pick. I mean, from his standpoint, I guess would you take Roman? I mean,
yeah.
You probably.
I'd take Roman. I would. I honestly.
It's not an easy decision.
No, it's really not. Yeah, I would probably, honestly, given what Sasha could mean to the greater wrestling world, the fact that she's a woman, that she's as good as she is, I think that there's even more benefit in taking a Sasha. She would be my absolute number one pick. If WWE went out of business tomorrow and they said everybody is available for you to take, Sasha would easily be my number one pick. Easily.
I mean, full timers, of course, because you take Cena is who you take.
Oh well, yeah, of course, yeah, right, yeah. Cena and Brock, I would also take very quickly, but no, of full timers of realistic possibilities, Sasha easily number one.
I mean, it's not, the decision between Sasha and Roman would be a tricky one, but I think for what AEW needs, I think you could make a reasonable argument for Sasha. So my point is, and I think are we 2 months into this already now? I mean,
let me see when that exactly when it first went
down.
If it were
a 90-day, I think if it's a traditional 90 days, she might be free in about a month.
Yeah, maybe we're there.
I think about a month. So that would have been.
They walked out. It looks like May 24th. May 20, May 16th. They walked out May 16th. So
sometime in late August.
Yeah.
Or
is walked out the release?
That's
Is
a good
what?
point.
Yeah, that's I don't know.
And then nobody would know the release date.
Right. This could be this. They have been removed from the internal. That might be the release. Who knows?
And the clock could be starting now.
The clock could start right today. Yeah, or it could have started that day. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, when's All Out?
All Out is what, September 3rd? September.
So that's good enough. So
September 4th. September 4th.
So if Vince thought, if they slapped those titles on the table and walked out, and Vince's mindset was, I've had enough of her, we're just going to cut ties because this is a repeating process or whatever, I'm almost positive they would want to at least keep her away from All Out.
Right, because let's say the 90 days was, what did I say, May 16th?
They'd be free for All Out.
That'd be August 14th. They'd be free to go. 90 days from today would be, let's see, or yesterday, that'd be October 5th.
Yeah.
So if this was the date when they got released, this keeps them away from All Out at least.
Yeah, you'd want to do that.
Or keep Sasha at least, Sorry, Naomi, but I also said too, I think Naomi has talent and is useful, but I mean, for all intents and purposes, we're talking about what's next for Sasha. I think that's
if I'm Tony Khan, I sign her too because I think it's really good PR.
Agreed.
To bring them both in. She does have a fan base. I mean, she's obviously no Sasha Banks, but I think it's good PR to bring them both in. I think you bring Sasha in and not Naomi, assuming Naomi wants to come. Because she's made her share of money too, and her husband's still making big money there. So maybe she just wants to chill out, do something else, stop taking bumps. I don't know her mindset. It seems like she loves wrestling, though, because she walked out over wrestling issues.
Right.
So that would indicate that she wants more out of her wrestling career. If that's the case, I sign her too, if nothing else, for the PR, and they both come in, and it's kind of like then you trot them both out there on TV with big smiles on their faces and everything, and so yeah, I would bring her in too. But Sasha is a no-brainer. But again, Sasha is a wrestling nerd, and she might have itches she wants scratched. She might want to do a little Stardom or one of these Japanese promotions. She might, and she's got the money and the means and the power to do that. So, we'll see. But it looks like, if this report's accurate, and it's Mike Johnson, right?
Yeah, PW Insider.
He's reliable. So, if the report's accurate, and I have no reason to think it isn't, and then that, I don't think that's a lock that they're gone, but I think we're one step closer.
I do too. And there's also, if you recall, there was the Raj Giri tweet and I think nobody else kind of followed up with that, but the Raj Giri tweet was on June 16th. So let's also say, because that was the day he said, I'm hearing Sasha Banks has been released, yada, yada, yada. Even that day, 90 days from, is September 14th. So that, again, misses them at All Out. But what's the date of Arthur Ashe? Because that might be another interesting...
Yeah. The thing is, that would make sense, too. The thing is, you'd want to keep her away from that pay-per-view.
Right.
Look, there's always going to be a big event, and they're going to put her on one of them. You can't keep her away forever. But the mindset has to be, get her off that paper.
Yeah, September 21st is Grand Slam 2022. So if the Raj date is correct, she'd be free. If the original we threw the tables, the titles on the table date is when they got released, then they're free for both. They're free for everything. And if today's thing is the day, then they're not free for either
nothing.
of those. Yeah, they're free. You got to wait till Full Gear or whatever the hell.
Yeah, and Arthur Ashe, I mean, that's just popping a TV rating. That's a one-week TV rating. The key is the pay-per-view, because the pay-per-view can be, what number, 20, 30, 40,000 buys? I don't know how many more buys she would add debuting on a pay-per-view. Look what Punk added. Punk added 100,000 pay-per-view buys.
Right.
So what's Sasha Banks going to add? So that's your precedent. The precedent is Punk added about 100,000 pay-per-view buys. So your mileage may vary what you think Sasha Banks would add to a pay-per-view. So that's why the key was to keep her past June 5th or whatever, to keep her off of that pay-per-view. Look, they're gonna, because they run only 4 or 5 now pay-per-views a year. The strategy then would be she would be no longer be someone new and fresh by the time the next pay-per-view rolls around, because now you're talking another 3 or 4 months. So you keep her away from the pay-per-view where she's the super hot commodity, at least. And if they put her on TV at Arthur Ashe or whatever else, then you just, that is what it is. They'll pop the rating, and is Arthur Ashe going to sell out whether she's on it or not?
Yeah. Oh no, it's not going to move any tickets or anything. But yeah,
it's a matter of popping
a
bigger rating.
Yeah.
So, and I think you do bring in Naomi because it's good for the PR and everything. And it's not like she's a complete non.
Oh no. Yeah, I mean, if she's available at a decent price and is willing to, yeah, of course you sign her.
Yeah, it's not like she's a complete non-entity. She's just not someone.
He's just not Sasha Banks, who's to me a potential transformative for, and we've proven that. We've talked about it on the show before. Like, look at the numbers. I mean, they like actual stat-based, like, an actual needle mover, unlike the fake needle mover that says he's a needle mover and never actually moves any needles, and ratings are fine, and TV is fine, and ratings are fine, and attendance is fine when he's not there. But no, he's a needle mover and all that. She does actually move quarter hours and move ratings and do that sort of stuff. So
I mean, he did all right the last time he came back. I think this new thing, what we don't know about Roman is what he means now that he's not around all the time. Right.
And I do think that will help, and it helps everybody.
It helped last time. It helped when he came back to TV last time. He popped the number. The thing with Roman is when he was on TV every week and he's wearing a T-shirt that says needle mover and he really wasn't moving any needles.
Yeah, that was the problem.
It's like Sami Callihan calling himself the Draw. Like, what are we doing here? You're drawing attention to the fact that you don't draw anything. Like, I'm not comparing Roman Reigns to Sami Callihan, but yeah, look, if it was just Naomi available, I don't know if I sign her. I'll be completely honest. I don't know if I'm interested. I mean, I'd sit down at the table and see what where her head is at. But as the package, I think it's good PR to bring her into.
Right, and it might placate Sasha a little bit too if you say, hey, we're bringing both you guys in, and yeah, it is a.
And
these
again,
are people that left.
Complete non-entity.
Right. And these are the people that left the company. They threw those belts on. Yeah, it would. The PR and just kind of the. I don't know. It's something you can kind of brag about and advertise. It's like, look, they threw those titles on the ground and now they're here. You know what I mean? That has something to it. That has some gravity to it.
And if any of those titles in Tony's office happen to be women's tag team titles, that's the time to roll them out.
Absolutely.
I mean,
I forgot about his titles. How many more does he say he has? Like, he had 6, right? Did he have 6 of these?
No, he didn't give a number. He was just like, I
thought he gave a number. Are you sure?
No. Someone asked about the trios again, and he said, whatever he said, like waiting for Kenny to come back or whatever it was. And then he said, I got a lot more titles in my office that people don't know about, right? And 2 of them were the Owen titles,
right?
And one was the All Europe or the All whatever the fuck
Atlantic,
that thing's called, the All Atlantic.
Yes.
So we know that, but we know the trios are there too. So who knows what else he has in that office of his with these with all these titles. But I'm just saying, if women's tag team titles are sitting there, collecting dust in his office somewhere, that would be the time to roll them out.
Yeah,
you throw a tournament together, and you have Sasha and Naomi, or Mercedes the Boss and
Trinity
Fatu.
Yeah, she's got a great. That's perfect. Trinity Fatu. I just have her beat Trinity Fatu. That's
absolutely
awesome name. That's not a bad name at all.
And Mercedes, you go with anything with Mercedes in it, and you're all right, because that's a very eye-catching kind of deal. But with Sasha, it doesn't really matter what name you give her, because it's fucking Sasha Banks. But and then you have them buzzsaw through some dopey tournament, and and that's even more of a fuck you, and even more of fan service to their fans, to Sasha and Naomi's fans, because now you're putting tag team titles on them, and it's like it's just perfect. But I guess we'll see. Was that the only topic you did?
That is all I've hit so far. That was all I hit so far.
TLB was cutting her finger off.
Yeah, well, she was doing her death match, trying out for GCW. She in the settlement series. I think it's coming up pretty soon, right?
Yes, it is coming. As a matter of fact, the first show.
I don't actually want to preview those shows because I don't want to talk GCW. But yeah, there you go. Settlement series coming up very soon. But yeah, we're gonna do some quick hitters at the beginning of the show because, like I said, there's a lot of little tiny topics that I don't think we could devote an entire segment to, so just a little kind of quick stuff here. So we talked about Sasha and Naomi. Real quickly, I want to talk about the New Japan Business Strategy presentation. Yes, we had a slideshow show into the world yesterday that had some pretty interesting highlights. as well. The president, Obari, he said that New Japan had a strong year. He mentioned Forbidden Door and Capital Collision in Washington, D.C. He said they want to look for more younger talent. Of course, that's what you would do. He did say this: Stardom wrestlers will be featured on New Japan of America moving forward. I thought that was an interesting little wrinkle there. Stardom wrestlers featured on New Japan of America moving forward. Now, that's going to be both. We'll talk about it a little bit later as well. There's going to be some Stardom involvement in New Japan proper as well, but I thought that of America part was pretty interesting. Does that mean touring? Does that mean strong? What does that mean exactly?
Nah, I think they're just the Stardom wrestlers will be on the shows that they're running, the same strong shows that they're running here, and the other shows they run.
Which is smart. Which is really smart which is a great idea to try to expose, because a lot of the talent and still the New Japan talent does draw still in America, but like you're using a lot of the same people. Hey, you get to see Hiroshi Tanahashi live in America. Like, that's kind of gone. We're past that point now. Now you got to promote either big matches, but I think now you can maybe get another little group of people to say, hey, it's the first time X is ever going to be in America. The first time X versus Y in America. Like, there's a lot of stuff you can do with that. So I think that's a smart thing.
There's Joshi fans that'll come out for that wouldn't normally buy a ticket.
Right,
Look, there's not millions of those people in America, but at the if New Japan's drawing, 500 to 1,000 fans to these sorts of shows, and you could add, 25 to 50 additional tickets sold to, that's a decent enough percentage at those levels to where it's worthwhile. And then they also mentioned genderless shows, as they called them, for Japan as well, which was interesting.
Yes.
So a lot of people who've been just harping on this idea that New Japan has to have women. And my stance, which I think is similar to your stance, I don't want to speak for you, but my stance has always been, I don't give a shit either way. If New Japan never had a women's match ever until the sun burns out, it wouldn't matter to me. And if New Japan added women's matches tomorrow, it wouldn't matter to me. So if they're going to go down that road and with the sister promotion and start mixing in some women's matches on New Japan shows, it is what it is. I really don't have an opinion either way. I think for America, it's smart. And I think for Japan, well, we'll see. It's been segregated for a long time, and not for any nefarious reasons. That's just how things are done in that culture with the wrestling. And, DDT does the mixed shows sometimes for their bigger shows, and some of the smaller indies do as well. This will be really the first time, if New Japan really does do this, where a major Japanese promotion is whatever you want to call it, not intergender because they won't be wrestling each other, but with the mixed shows.
Right, regularly doing mixed shows. Like Cyber Fight Festival obviously is a mixed show, but yeah, this is,
if that's in fact what they mean by that.
Right. If it doesn't mean just like on big shows, because we've seen that already with Wrestle Kingdoms or whatever. They'll be on the pre-show and that sort of stuff, and yeah, I don't know if this means that
those are more like offer matches though,
right. I don't know if this means that like now 3 matches of every single show in New Japan are going to have women. Like, I don't know what that means, so it'll be interesting to see where that follows up. But I have the exact same thought as you. I don't really care. There was people like going nuts that they didn't have women, and there were people saying no. I don't care really. It's honestly, it's fine.
Doesn't make any difference to me.
Either way, yeah. If they're good matches and it's good wrestling, I don't care. I'll watch it. It's fine with me. It'll honestly be easy because now I'm watching New Japan shows anyway. So if there's really really talented Joshi wrestlers and really talented Stardom wrestlers, that makes it easier for me to follow and watch them. So it's fine with me.
The best way I can put it is I don't need it, but I don't care if you give it to me.
Right. Yeah.
That's the way I look at it, and that's the way I've always looked at it, which is why it was never like a big topic on this show, because we never really were arguing strong for it, and we were never arguing strong against it. So it's never been like a big talking point here, because neither one of us felt very strongly in either direction when it came to that argument.
New Japan returning to the UK in October. They said they also want to use some more or have some more shows in the Oceania region as well, just because of the New Zealand dojo. So that's cool, and I think that's smart.
Yeah, they were running those before all the world fell apart. Anyway,
right.
And yeah, it is smart because they really did corner off that part of the world in terms of recruiting and training as well. They were and still are really getting talent from that part of the world. And of course, Fale has the dojo in New Zealand, which is affiliated. So that all makes sense.
This is an interesting thing here. Speaking of the Stardom thing, I should have mentioned this before. November 20th, there's a New Japan Stardom show they've talked about here. And Obari says that around two mixed tag matches. So They're going to have 2 mixed tag matches, or quote, around 2 mixed matches on the show. Men wrestle men and women will wrestle women. So it'll be like classic pre-IG American style where the women will be in there against each other, and then when they tag out, the men have to tag in type thing. So
yeah. Dusty and Sapphire versus Macho and Sherry.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Think of classic World Wrestling Federation mixed tag matches. So
yeah, I mean, they had a lot of graphs on that because I watched the whole thing, even though I didn't understand a word of it. I wasted 90 minutes watching that. They had a lot of graphs with their, business growth and declines and everything. Look, they're trying new things because they've had a rough go.
Yes,
during
things have not been great. No,
they're drawing 400 people to Corrigan. I mean, things aren't going great in New Japan right now. I mean, it's not dire. They're not at risk of going out of business, but things have been rough. So they're throwing some different things at the table here.
Shows at Corkin Hall on September 5th and September 6th will be half capacity to allow vocal crowd noise sections, Joe. Finally, half capacity vocal crowd noises in early September.
See, this is the one I took as bad news because that means no cheering for any of the G1.
Right.
And it also tells you that Japan is going to keep up with this where, they're only going to allow cheering if you have half capacity, which, again, most of these promotions are going to choose to do full capacity clapping because they want to sell the tickets. Some of the smaller promotions will take the half capacity because that's all they can sell anyway, and go with the cheering. But New Japan, they're going to go with full capacity.
Right. They got a big budget. There's a big budget there in New Japan. So, yeah, they're going to try to make as much money as they possibly can and won't care.
Throw a couple bones here in September, and it's like, I don't know. And you could tell that the crew is getting demoralized by this. I mean, they're sick of it, but what can you do? I mean, it's just Japan is very, very slow and, way behind a lot of the other countries of the world with the COVID thing now. I mean, I think COVID is just a thing now. I mean, I think it's just a thing. And it's a thing you don't want to get if you're old or if you're obese or if you're sick, and it's not going away. So I don't know. No cheering. That one was demoralizing.
Yeah, that hurt. That hurt because it really felt like DDT had a half capacity vocal noise show. I think sometime in the last week. I did not watch that. I ended up watching some of the King of DDT stuff, but that was not. That was just normal clapping or whatever. So I know that a few different companies and a few different venues have said, but yeah, this news. And this was presented as like, hey, we're going to have crowd noise. And it was like, all right, September 5th and September 6th, and it's going to have capacity. It's like, oh, crap. So, yeah, it sucks. It's very demoralizing because, yeah, it's, again, another G1 with the clap crowds. And I think it's been very hard this last year, basically, to watch New Japan or watch any Japanese wrestling with the clap crowds because, in America, there's noise. If you go to the UK, we watch Rev Pro, there's noise. A lot of the stuff, a lot of the wrestling that we watch on a regular basis has noise and has crowds and has cheering, especially after Forbidden Door. You got to imagine some of the wrestlers, too, are just like, come on, what are we doing? I mean, Will Ospreay, obviously, very vocal about it, but several others, Jay White, obviously, have been vocal about it as well, but in nicer ways, guys like Okada have mentioned it. Guys like Tanahashi have mentioned it as well. They've done it a little bit more politically correct and stuff than Will and Jay, who just basically threaten people and yell and scream and get all mad or whatever. But Okada and Tanahashi have kind of said the same thing as well. I mean, everybody is ready for the cheering to begin again at September 5th and September 6th with half capacity crowds. So that sucks. But anyway, then. Kadani said that he feels that the meeting was a new chapter for New Japan Pro Wrestling with all the Stardom stuff and all that. So interesting news and notes there. But like you said, I think the more telling thing was that a lot of the graphs were not looking good for New Japan. And they were upfront about it, saying, hey, look, we're entering our 50th year. Things aren't great, but we're going to do some new things and try some new things and try to go in different directions this year to try to get things back on track. So, it is what it is. But they've...
Okay, on the 3rd, they did 1,200 in Corrigan. On the 4th, they did 536. And on the 5th, they did 579. So, to do half capacity cheering, you're selling half capacity anyway.
Right.
So it's kind of like, why not do it in Corrigan? Because you're not selling a lot of tickets in Corrigan. The first night they did 1,200, and I noticed that's a nice round number. So who knows if that was really 1,200. And there really wasn't. It was Kushida's return match, I think. So that was probably the draw there. And then the next 2 nights did nothing. They did, 500 fans. So little feather in the cap of Kushida there, right?
Not bad. Yeah, not bad.
Kushida return.
I haven't watched it. Did you watch the match? How did he look?
I haven't watched any of those Korakuens yet, so I can't. I don't know.
Yeah, I've been a little out on New Japan. I'm taking a little bit of a break. I'm taking a little bit of a break before the G1, and then I'll dive into the G1 again.
I can't kill you. It's reasonable, and you'll be a little more excited about it. It'll be like when you're going to turn on that first G1 show, and you'll be like, all right, it's a little New Japan, you'll be excited about it instead of.
You got to take some breaks. You got to take some breaks. You can't watch every show, especially these really, really desolate like Korakuen shows and stuff. You gotta take a breather. You got people like the Super J-Cast. They have to watch everything, but I don't. You know what I mean? I can take a break. So.
Yeah, but you watch those 3 Korakuens and then watch it. You want to be like, more New Japan. Now you're gonna be into it.
So that is New Japan Business Strategy. Let's bounce over to another topic here real quick. We should have had snappy music for this. We're bouncing between topics here. I like it. Joe, it turns out that one Marcus Alexander Bagwell did not wake up one day and decide that he loved Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon. He didn't wake up one day after spending years as a lifelong Georgia resident in his 50s. He didn't just wake up one day and decide to have the vernacular of a 21-year-old. No. In fact, it was revealed this week that the much heralded Buff Bagwell Twitter renaissance was a bit of a fabrication. That somebody, Joe, shocking, was doing the tweets for him. And he was selling stuff for Buff, and he was speaking as Buff, but the words were mostly of this guy handling the Twitter account. It was not actually Buff Bagwell who was tweeting about Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon and trans rights and all that sort of stuff. So, sorry, everybody.
I mean,
Buff is not the stuff anymore.
Set the views aside. I don't even care about the I'm Buff and I love gay people stuff. I set all that aside. Okay. Just the change in vernacular of the tweets.
it was clearly a 21-year-old writing these tweets. Like,
I mean, forget even the content of the tweets, just the vernacular, the grammar, the spelling. And that's not even knocking Bagwell, an uneducated guy, or did he go to college?
I don't know about Marcus. I don't know about Marcus Alexander Bagwell's college. I feel like Jim Ross never told me he was like a tight end at Georgia State, so I don't know for sure.
Maybe he's well. I don't know. Maybe he was valedictorian of his class. I have no clue. I shouldn't have said that. But the point here is,
all right. Growing up, Bagwell was a standout baseball player during his tenure at Sprayberry High School and worked for his family's lumber company. Upon graduating from high school, he started an amateur boxing career. When the lumber company went bankrupt, however, he became a massage therapist before deciding to wrestle. So
he was a good athlete in high school, not good enough to play in college, and then bounced around before he found wrestling. All right, but the point here is, whether he's well educated or not, just go read his tweets from before the drastic change, and it was someone whose entire vernacular, grammar, and method of typing completely changed, and that was the immediate tip-off. Right. That doesn't happen. Rich, when we were both tweeting from the Voice of Wrestling account, we didn't even need to tag it anymore because people could tell whose words it was by the vernacular and by the turn of phrase and by the grammar and because you have a voice when you type and you tweet, and everyone has a distinct voice, and the voice completely changed, let alone the fact that this is a Southern Georgia-born flag-waving Republican who all of a sudden had the wokest, most leftist views imaginable on everything. And I know the argument is, people can change, and people go, okay, but when you combine all of this...
I don't believe, here's my argument, I don't believe that Buff Bagwell was going to change. That's where I argue with people.
Even if you give that benefit of the doubt, combined with the fact that it was a completely different tone in the tweets and everything else, and he was, it
was also Buff Bagwell.
Yes, and the point here is, we sniffed this out, and a lot of people sniffed this out immediately, but nobody wanted to listen, and it ended up becoming, and it's like, all right, well, what harm is it doing? Well, the harm is then when you're leveraging popular views of wrestling Twitter, because let's face it, wrestling Twitter leans very left. I mean, I think everyone would admit that. Whether you are a leftist or whether you're a fucking MAGA Republican, I think everyone would agree that wrestling Twitter leans very... I mean, there's a meme tweet that says when you join Twitter, You get a season pass to Monday Night Raw and the Karl Marx book, whatever that fuck. I mean, it's a literal meme. It's understood. So in order to run a grift and sell T-shirts and get people hyped up for your fucking Diamond Dallas Page, redemption show that you're filming, you're going to want to try to appeal to the widest base possible. And on Twitter, that's people who lean left. So what this guy did is he hired someone who promised him that he's like, hey, look, I know what Twitter likes. And he probably just hired this guy and said, all right, tweet whatever the fuck you want. I don't give a fuck. And never thought about it.
Make me money. I don't really give a shit. And he did.
Sell my T-shirts. Put me on this redemption path. I don't give a shit what you tweet.
Get me trending on Twitter, which he did many times.
Correct. So, and that's what happened here. He didn't. I don't think he knew the guy was a sex pest or a registered sex offender. I believe him when he says he didn't know that, because I don't think Marcus Bagwell put any thought into this. He just he hired the guy. The guy was, and he didn't check into the guy's background or anything, and he got burned. And then the guy stole all the money and disappeared, and and now Bagwell's on the hook. Number one, because everyone feels betrayed that he doesn't really hold all these views. Surprise. And number two, a lot of people lost money because this guy stole their money. He stole Bagwell's money. He stole everybody's money. And he skipped town to run the next hustle. So that's what happened here. I just cannot believe that people fell for this. It's and I'm not trying to shit on people or rub it in, but come on. I mean, how naive are you to have fallen for? Rich, we spotted this immediately. I mean, I remember in our Slack and everywhere else that we talk. I mean, as soon as this became a thing, we were like, "Oh, this is clearly not him. This is so obviously not him."
Right. And like, people didn't have to go very far to find like opinions. Like you said, the vernacular one of one. That was the easiest way to tell. Is that one day the way that this guy tweeted, the sentence structure, the punctuation, the way that he typed was just completely different. It just completely changed overnight. And then also, like, you only had to go back and look like a couple months to find completely different views than what he was, espousing, in these later days. And it's like, again, yes, when we mentioned it and when we kind of were like, this is kind of where when people were coming to us and saying, hey, what do you think about this Buff Bagwell thing? Like, wow, he's completely it's really cool to see, someone in their 50s completely change, or it's so good that, I never thought he could be this kind of guy. But and I think I was always saying, like, look. And I think I even said this in our Discord, like in March or whatever, May or whatever. I said, look, I don't know. I have no knowledge. I will just say, be cautious getting too excited about this guy changing or being progressive. It doesn't smell right. It doesn't pass my smell test. And these guys are professional grifters and professional liars. They're professional wrestlers. That's their job. That's what they do.
Yeah.
Now, did I know that Buff was going to get grifted by a grifter? And he changed it, No, I probably didn't know it was that many levels or that many. Maybe I honestly thought it was Buff just, sending it through. I don't know. I didn't know any of the actual details of it, but it smelled fishy from the beginning. And unfortunately, a lot of people got burned financially. Some people got their hopes up. I know there's wrestlers that said I was really disappointed because I was DMing with him and he was giving me advice about, how to manage the wrestling business, and it's just different stuff like that. And that's what hurts more than anything. Like, this is just a dumb Twitter thing. And if it was just him tweeting and like, whatever, who cares? But the fact that people bought shirts, people bought things, people donated things, and people talked to or thought they were talking to somebody that they respected or whatever. I don't know why you respect Buff Bagwell in the first place, but anyway, they thought they were, somebody or people, got happy that an ex-wrestler they thought was a grifter and a professional liar and all that sort of stuff had seen the right way and was going in the right direction and was being positive on Twitter and was giving and it's all just nothing. It's all for nothing. It's all just a giant grift by a guy who's a grifter, and that sucks. Yeah, and in the end, a bunch of people are burned. Bagwell's out of money. People are out of money, and this guy is just going to go on, like you said, to do the next little thing. But he played it perfectly. This registered sex offender tweeter guy played it perfectly. He said, Bluff, here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to market to. We're going to use these marginalized groups to monetize your rehab. And he did it, and he nailed it, and he got it, and he got a lot of money for it.
And he got all the money and ran off with it.
So be careful. That's all I'll say. They are professional liars. All we have to tell you again and again and again and again and again and again. They're not your friends. Some may be your friends, and that's not to say all wrestlers are bad. Not all wrestlers are bad, but just remember They're pro wrestlers. Just because they interact with you on Twitter doesn't mean they're, that they're your friends.
David Starr. Remember him?
Unfortunately, yeah. Well, now he's back. He's not posting through it, but he's podcasting through it, right?
He just did a podcast where on that podcast, and this is going to stun you too, Rich, he admitted that while he holds left-leaning views, that he did lean into them very heavily for the sake of his wrestling gimmick the entire time, which isn't going to stun you, but will probably stun a lot of people who bought into all of his a wrestling gimmick.
Right. We got some DMs from one star that were just like, all right.
Look, the guy's not. The guy's not voting for Mitt Romney. Okay, he's left leaning, but he turned it up to 12 for the gimmick, and he's now come clean on that because, at least according to him, he has no designs on coming back or attempting to come back to wrestling. Not that anybody would ever book him. So he kind of just let it all hang out, and and he said, "Look, I turned it up to 10." He didn't use that verbiage. I forget the exact verbiage, but he admitted that a lot of it was just, it was advantageous to play that role, to make that his gimmick. So, I mean, they're pro wrestlers. Here's what I don't understand, and we'll move off of it. Why do you need that kind of affirmation from Marcus Bagwell anyway?
The handsome stranger. Why do you need the handsome stranger?
Like seriously, who cares what Buff Bagwell thinks about anything? I don't care what Buff Bagwell thinks about literally anything on this planet. Like, why do you need validation or affirmation from him? Of all people?
I know. Yeah, because I did see a lot of those people being like, I was really disappointed because, I had conversations with him and I got guidance from him and I was like, why are you getting guidance from Buff Bagwell? like if Mick Foley slides in your DMs, okay, that's a guy I listen to. That's a guy I have a comment. If Buff Bagwell's like, hey, I got some advice for you, I'm going the other direction, man.
Oh, yeah, and that too. Like, why are
Thanks,
you
Buff, but I'm good,
advice?
I think.
Yeah. Yeah, you're talking wrestling advice. I'm just talking like life.
Forget life advice. Yeah, get out of here.
I don't care what Buff Bagwell thinks about anything in this world. Why would I? And that's not just slagging off on him. That goes for 99% of pro wrestlers. I don't care what any of them think about anything. I don't need their affirmation to confirm what I think about things. I couldn't care less what any of them think. Agree, disagree on any that part I will never understand, but again, I don't want to go down that route. But yeah, like you're saying too, wrestling advice from Buff Bagwell? What?
The guy who was so bad that Vince McMahon ripped up months and months worth of plans for WCW
is he going to give you?
Fuck it. Yeah.
What relevant advice is he going to give you? What can he tell you other than, here's what you do. If it's 1991, be really hot so people want to put you on TV.
Right.
What else can he tell you?
That's essentially it.
His entire career was built on being handsome and having a nice body. I mean, there's no other advice that man can give you. I mean, what are we doing here?
Well, hopefully, this is the last time we ever have to talk about Buff Bagwell again on this show. So,
he broke in as the handsome stranger. Right. His gimmick was literally that he was just hot. Then he was in the American Males. This isn't. I mean, if he looked like Buck Robley, he never would have made it. What are we doing here?
Well, the run of Woke Bay Buff Bagwell is now done. So
thankfully,
rest in peace.
Please don't fall for the next one.
Yes, please think hard and think twice before you give money to people.
Particularly when there's T-shirts behind it.
Right. If there's a documentary or T-shirts, think for a second.
Find top hats. You might want to step back and reconsider.
Right.
Jeez.
Oh, that's Buff Bagwell. What else we got here on the quick hitters, or do we need to get into our big topics here?
Will Ospreay fired back on Kenny. Do you have those quotes?
Oh yeah, let me get those real quick. I had them and then I lost them. But yeah, it's a little spicy. You got them right? You got it in front of you? Yeah,
he wants to slap. He's gonna slap the taste out of his mouth. Hold on, let me.
All right, pro wrestling.
Things are heating up. What's interesting about the Kenny, because Will Ospreay did an interview with some British wrestling podcast or something today. Actually, that I don't know when he did the interview, but it came out today, and he fired back at the Kenny comments. So first he started off talking a bunch of work stuff. He says, and I quote, "This whole thing started in 2009. It was Kenny's last match, I guess, and he wanted Ibushi out there to second him. I fucking blew Ibushi's brain out with the hidden blade. So he was super mad at me, super fucking mad at me. The thing is, I'm mad at myself when those things happen. I don't want to brain somebody, but it's a legal wrestling move. I'm allowed to do it. I'm allowed to do blows to the back of the head, 12-6 elbows down, and this was a 9-3 elbow strike. I'm allowed to do it. Obviously, the repercussion was he got knocked out, and it was a bad concussion. Since then, myself and Ibushi, we've gone out for drinks. We don't talk anymore, because Will's a heel. But after that point, we went for drinks and meals. We're fine, but Kenny is butthurt off the accident." End quote. First of all, this part of it is 100% work.
Yes, he's still getting traction off the fucking elbow.
Off the knock, because we all know Ibushi got knocked out on the ring post and not the hidden blade. But because they took it at the time, they took advantage of that and played it up like it was the hidden blade to get the hidden blade over. And Will's still using that. He's still using that quote unquote KO of Ibushi to get heat and to get the hidden blade over.
Yeah, it sucks that Ibushi got a concussion from that or got any sort of head trauma from that, but it was like the debut of the hidden blade, and that's the best way to possibly debut the hidden blade ever, which sucks that that's a result of it. But we said it at the time too. You had Young Lions putting him on like a backboard or whatever. I mean, it was not, and then people just getting so upset about it. Again, Joe, it relates to this Bob Bagwell thing. I'm starting to think that these wrestlers are sometimes lying to us in interviews and in the ring and lying about injuries sometimes. Is this business not in the up and up? What's going on here? Anyway,
he's talking about how it's a legal move and everything. That whole
so
paragraph
it's so worky.
So then he goes on, and
we're
now
not
the next
friends
part,
anymore. Like you said.
Right? Because he has to say that.
Right. We used to drive in cars together. Now we don't anymore. Just
right.
Classic 1987 pro wrestling shit that I love.
But then it set up the next quote, which is where things get a little murky because, as often happens when guys are building a match and they're hitting each other a little close to home, I think these guys are starting to strike nerves with each other. So this is where you get what is, to me, is still clearly building towards a match, but also they're kind of like the old working stuff in, like ribbon on the square, like getting some legit shots in there to tweak the other side. Obviously, Ospreay was mad. And now he's trying to make Kenny mad. Here's the next quote.
Right, and that happens every time you have, and that's why you always got to be careful with work shoot stuff, because very often one line or whatever will cross that line, and then there's almost no going back from that.
Hey, I haven't talked to you about this yet, and we're not going to do it on the air, and everyone's going to get mad because I'm bringing it up, and then we're not going to talk about it. But there are two very prominent AEW stars who I, talked to some people today, and it looks like there's legitimate heat there because of something said on a promo on TV.
Ooh, okay.
If you don't think that stuff happens, it happens all the time. But anyway, here's Ospreay, and I quote, this is where it gets spicy. "He can think what he wants about me. The motherfucker is such a little bitch."
Oh.
The same person who is like, "I grew up after 6 or 7 5-star matches." No, you didn't, you cunt. You vanity search your name on Twitter to see what everybody says, and when it's bad, you cry in the corner of your $1 million house, and you're still bothered by some cunt who sits doing some wrestling matches who's trying to help out not only the British scene, but the Japanese scene, because I'm not an idiot when it comes to my company. We got hit hard by the pandemic. Does that mean I'm taking a day off? No. I'm working my ass off to bring it back because that's what you said to do. This is the reason I don't like Kenny. This is where some people can relate. When you say something to me, look me in the eye, speak to me, when you talk to me and tell me this, and then go to the fans and talk differently, that's where we have a problem. You have my number. If we have a problem, call me and we can fucking talk about it. I don't have anything to say about him. Be all, end all. I'm sure if everyone was in the same room, I would slap him. The worst thing is people are going to listen and be like, they are building something. We are not building anything. He's a cunt. I will slap that boy and remind him, you're a fucking 40-year-old man and you're fucking fragile. Do you really want to get with me? I will end you. End quote.
Yikes. It's reeling in, bud.
Where do we start? Where do we start?
Pal. Good Lord.
Talk about working stiff.
Yeah, good God. Jesus.
Okay. So there's a lot to unpack here.
I'd say.
Number one, you're absolutely building a match. That's number one.
Right.
Number two, there's stuff in here where he's saying, look, Kenny told me to take care of the company. Kenny taught me to, help new guys get over and whatnot. And now when he talks in public, he talks down on me and shits on me. That's kind of what he's trying to get over here, the idea of that. And also the idea that Kenny Omega, the idea that he doesn't care about his 5-star matches, and we talked about this last week.
We addressed this last week, yeah.
Kenny did that. Kenny knows that. That's part of the work here, where Kenny is now trying to be this veteran who's above it. We all know he's not. He calls himself the best bout machine. I mean, give me a break. And so that's part of this work as well. And then the rest of the incredibly violent and nasty talk.
a lot of cunt. A lot of the word cunt.
A lot of cunt. Yeah. A lot of I will end you. But
he called him a fucking bitch at one point too, which seems that's hard to come back from. Even if you're like working a thing, like even then I'm like, pal, like reel it in a little, bud. Like,
yeah, I mean, well, I think what this is Will, with his first opportunity to speak publicly and fire back to build this match, and number two, I think Kenny may have struck a nerve with him, and now he's trying to strike one back. So there's a little bit of reality mixed in, and those are the best kind of works, right? Because those are the hardest ones to figure out, and those are the ones that people are going to buy into. People bought into Kenny's part of it a couple weeks ago, and now people are buying into Will's now, because you look at the reaction to this, and they're all like, Kenny really pissed Will off, and then there's other people who are saying things like, well, this was all a work, but now Will's going to blow it because he's working too stiff here. So people are buying these words.
Right. I saw a lot of people saying,
that's the idea, no matter what.
Do people have said this stuff about Kenny before? And he's true. There are people on the other side too saying, that don't love Kenny. So it's interesting. Yeah, it's a really, really interesting thing here. They gotta be a little careful though. You don't want to get too far into the first paragraph is good. The second paragraph is good too, but you want to do a little bit more of the first paragraph and some of that second paragraph, but blended in for sure. But
isn't there something to be said for like Brett and Sean? Didn't it help them sell tickets that people knew they really hated each other?
Yeah, it did, but it also resulted in like and that's the ultimate example of like a work and a shoot going a little too far. Is because Vince realized, hey, I got something here. So he pitted those two guys and would tell Sean, hey, Brett told you, so was saying this about you, and then tell Brett, hey, and then he did everything he could until it ended up with them like literally ripping each other's hair out backstage and fighting, and Shawn Michaels, wanting to quit the company and going away for a couple weeks or whatever. So that's where you always got to watch. And then they just absolutely fucking hated each other and couldn't bother each other. But at the end of the day, they mostly were able to get back on the same track and get out there. And you're right, it did sell tickets and people knew about it and that sort of stuff. But you want to be somewhere in between the Brett and Sean thing and your everyday work, and it's something where you want both parties to kind of agree that, hey, let's push the envelope a little bit, let's dig at each other, but maybe I don't know, some of the Will vernacular there is a little tough. I can't imagine Kenny was like, yeah, call me a fucking bitch, I'm a cunt, I'm a cunt, call me a fucking cunt,
okay, well, let me
40-year-old fucking cunt or whatever. Like,
well, let me ask you this: what are the odds? They're texting back and forth right now, trying to figure out what Kenny should say next.
Oh man, I don't know. I don't have a good read on it. I guess that's good that I don't have a good read on it, because I bought in. I've worked at this point because I don't know.
You're okay. So your theory is Will was working here, but he went too far.
Yes, yeah. That he was cool with everything else, and then he got a little too in on himself at the last paragraph there.
But it's clear this was meant as a work because of the first paragraph.
Correct.
Which is all work.
Right.
I mean, so
I think he was talking, and then he just started going, and it felt like a lot of the first paragraph felt like Will Ospreay the wrestler. You know what I mean? Building a match with Kenny Omega.
The heel persona.
Yeah, the second part seemed a little bit like Will Ospreay the human being talking about Kenny Omega the human being too. There's a few things in there that
what it was?
Cut a little deep.
I'll differ slightly. I think it was Will Ospreay, the heel wrestling character, talking about Kenny, but with plausible deniability that it was real. Like, he did it in the character, but may have meant what he was saying. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
He did it in the character, but meant some of what he was saying.
Right. So it was probably ramped up to 10, but it was definitely some real thoughts of Will Ospreay.
Yeah, like this was United Empire Kenny, United Empire Will expressing Will Ospreay, the human being's thoughts.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I could totally see that. The point is, this rules.
It's fucking rocks. Good. Yeah, either way it rocks. Even if they want to rip each other's hair out, that kind of rocks too. So
this can go on while he's like, and whether they are building a match or ultimately don't or not, even if they never have a match, this is incredible shit talk. This is so good. Like these guys, and Kenny's gonna come back with some shit now, and he's doing this whole aloof, I'm above it kind of thing, and I don't know. I'm into this though. I'm definitely.
I mean, at the end of the day, I just want to see these two dudes wrestle at some point, and if this is what gets us on that path, I'm down. So
I don't have the exact quote, but Will also threw in, whether it was on Twitter or elsewhere in this interview, but he said something about the Forbidden Door was supposed to open a year ago, and I was supposed to come in, but somebody put a stop to that politically, and we all know who it was. Like now, he's implying that Kenny's keeping him out of AEW as well to add to this. So, there's more to come. Now we got to wait for, someone to give Kenny a mic again and see if this thing continues. And then once either one of it do it in a company promo, then it's just work city. You know what I mean?
Right.
Once someone does it in if Will does it in Japan, or if Kenny does it when he comes, anything done in a work setting, and work meaning a workplace setting. I mean, now we know the deal. And then it's just a matter of who's going to get the match. And if we learned anything from Moxley Tanahashi, that Tony Khan is very devious when it comes to making sure he gets the match that he wants when it comes to these interpromotional bouts. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's no matter what, it's interesting, fun stuff. So we'll see what the end result ends up being. So there you go. Any other quick hitter topics?
I think that's everything.
I think we got everything. All right, so let's get to we're gonna get to some of our other topics. I mentioned Money in the Bank, Impact Wrestling's Against All Odds, ROH Death Before Dishonor, Wrestling Entertainment Series, whatever the fuck thing was going on here. Pro Wrestling No, we'll talk about all of that stuff. Before we do that, though, Joe, I do have to let you know that this episode of the Flagship Podcast is sponsored by our friends at HelloFresh. And with HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. You can skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That is why it's America's #1 meal kit. Unfortunately, they do not slice onions ahead of time for you, Joe. You do have to slice your own onions. So I was going to say that we could, this is a way where maybe TLB can not slice your finger open, but you do have to slice some of the ingredients. Some of the slices, some stuff come pre-sliced, but the onions you're going to have to slice on your own, unfortunately. But as I said, you can get farm fresh, seasonal produce, and easy-to-make recipes delivered right to your door every single week. Ingredients travel from the farm to your doorstep in under a week, so they always arrive fresh, all without a trip to the grocery store or the farmer's market. And it's all about convenience with HelloFresh. Not only do the ingredients come pre-proportioned, so you're not overbuying or wasting food, but it's easier than ever to get filling meals on the table in a snap with options like family-friendly or quick and easy recipes. You can pick from your favorites of 50 different weekly options and skip weeks when you need to, change your delivery date, or update your preferences, all in the HelloFresh app. So you can go to HelloFresh.com right now and use the code VOW16. That's HelloFresh.com/VOW16 and use the promo code VOW16. And you're going to get up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. Again, it's HelloFresh.com/VOW16 and use that promo code VOW16 to get 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. That is HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. Again, HelloFresh.com/VOW16 and use the promo code VOW16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. Thank them, of course, for sponsoring this episode of the Flagship. All right, Joe. Let's talk about Money in the Bank. And last week I had sort of promised, or you had promised, or we had promised that I was not going to watch the show and we would do the WWE Premium Live Event game where I don't watch and you prepare 3 lies. And it was a pretty memorable, newsworthy show. So I watched Money in the Bank. So no game. We're just going to do an earnest review of the Money in the Bank Premium Live Event. Okay, is that fine? Did you prepare lies for me or no?
Yes.
You did prepare lies.
No, I didn't prepare lies.
Oh, you did not prepare lies. I was going to say we could do those.
No. You told me you were gonna watch, so I didn't bother preparing the lies.
Yeah, sorry. Well, let's talk about the show overall. It was Money in the Bank. It was a premium live event. It was from the intimate confines of the MGM Grand Garden Arena. I think the big news coming out of it, of course, is the 3rd or 4th, by my count, star-making performance for one Liv Morgan, who won the women's Money in the Bank and then cashed in on Ronda Rousey and won the SmackDown women's title in 32 seconds. Michael Cole told a heartfelt story after the match and said, 8 years ago, in the Performance Center. Did you catch this at all, or did you skip did you just watch the matches, or did you watch the before and afters?
What do you mean the before and after?
Well, like they did there was videos before, and then they cut after the Money in the Bank. They showed Liv in the ring celebrating for a long time, and then they cut to Pat and Michael Cole, and Cole is like holding back. He's like choked up about this. And he goes, 8 years ago, I walked to the WWE Performance Center, and I saw what's her name, Gianna, right?
Gianna Daddio.
Yeah, he says I met a woman, met a woman named Gianna, and she said it is my dream to become SmackDown Women's Champion.
Yeah.
I had to look it up. Not a title at the time when Gianna met Michael Cole at the WWE Performance Center.
Oh, SmackDown yeah, they worked real hard. Yeah,
did not exist. That was a thing in 2016, when not 8 years ago. So
yeah,
maybe her dream was to be Women's Champion. I don't think her dream was to be SmackDown Women's Champion, because that would be weird, because that wasn't a thing. So
yeah. Yeah, I mean,
what a moment! Star, a new star is born.
It sounds like, look, people aren't going to like what I have to say about the whole Liv Morgan thing. I mean, I have nothing against Liv Morgan. I really don't. They really played it up, especially on the commentary, because they had Cole and McAfee really go nuts on commentary, and they played it up on YouTube and everything. So they really are trying to make this a big deal. I, of course, as I always am, are keeping this company at arm's length, and I'm highly skeptical that this is a real push. I think that Liv Morgan is very likable, and I think she is someone who is very popular on social media. I don't know if her popularity translates to reality. I don't think the cash-in and title change got any kind of spectacular pop in the building compared, if you compare it, to other money. Look, Money in the Bank cash-ins are always going to get good reactions from the crowd because of the surprise aspect, and people like to see title changes. And I don't think this one was above and beyond some of the other recent cash-ins we saw in terms of crowd reaction. And Liv, to me, I don't see a big upside with her. I really don't. I think she's an average wrestler who at times can look really good in the ring, and at other times can look downright untrained. But mostly is solid and fine, by the standards of that division in that company. I think she does have charisma, but I don't think she has superstar charisma. I don't think she gets reactions in the buildings that correspond with the popularity that you see that she has online. She's almost an inverse Britt Baker, Adam Cole, in that Baker and Cole are extremely unpopular online, but get great reactions in the buildings and are quarter hour movers and all of those things. Whereas Liv is extremely popular. Like, if you just judged by Twitter, you'd think she was one of the biggest stars in the company, but then it doesn't translate. Rich, she had a world title main event on Raw in December. Do you remember this, against Becky Lynch?
Yes. Yeah. We talked about it on the show.
She had
one of her many star-making performances that she's had recently.
Well, she had the main event match of that Raw on December 6th, and Monday Night Raw that week, new record low for the key demo in the history of Monday Night Raw. The show did it averaged 1.6 million viewers, and it did a 0.35. Let me make sure I'm right. A 0.35 in the 18 to 49. No extraordinary competition. Wasn't on a holiday. December 6th Raw. It did a 0.46 the week before. Did a 0.35. That show opened up with a Big E Kevin Owens steel cage match, if you recall. Liv Morgan, Becky Lynch main evented that show. And the first hour averaged 1.669 million viewers. The second hour averaged 1.636 million viewers. And the third hour with the Becky Lynch, Liv Morgan main event cratered to 1.494 million viewers. Nobody cared. I don't have any evidence that Liv Morgan is any kind of a star. Now, if this is the start of a push and she catches fire, that remains to be seen. Would I bet on that? I would not, because I don't see superstar qualities in her. I think and again, I have nothing against her, and I think she is charismatic, and she's clearly has a fan base, but I don't see her as someone that I would build a division, let alone a company around. Now, Sasha Banks is out. Ronda Rousey hasn't worked. Look, I get it. It's good to try this, with the caveat of, are they even really trying?
Right, and I would like to see how SummerSlam goes before we have the "are they trying it" with Liv argument, because there's a very strong possibility that she doesn't even make it through SummerSlam as the champion. There's a strong possibility she doesn't make it more than 3 months as champion. We just did this with Big E. We just did this with Big E. And
look, we're not the ones that need to be convinced, sir.
Right. Well, and I also wanted to. Yeah, no, I'm aware. I'm very aware. But I also wanted to do a little bit of an experiment here of Money in the Bank cash-ins. And I want to go through every. We can do this quickly because there's a lot, but I think your answer is going to be pretty obvious for a lot of them. In the moment, it feels like the biggest deal. In the moment, the Money in the Bank cash-in feels like, oh my God, they've, the crowd goes nuts because, like you said, it's exciting. They know they're going to get a title change. They know there's a big time match. The crowds always buy into a Money in the Bank. Like you said, the crowd reaction is almost always good for one of these because it's exciting. It is a very, very exciting moment. The briefcase gets handed, the bell rings, things are happening. Like it's something that. But how many of these have actually been? Have they created a tangible star? How many of these created a tangible thing? How many of these do you even remember more than anything? Outside of the moment that it happens. All right. Yeah. You ready real quickly to go over every cash in? Real fast.
Sure.
All right. First one, Edge.
Very memorable.
Very memorable. Yeah.
That set the tone. That made this a thing because it was so successful and memorable.
All right. No one is going to argue that one wasn't great. That one was great. Mm-hmm. Rob Van Dam.
No recollection.
Yeah, he won it at WrestleMania 22. I believe that's when he cashed in at, I don't remember. I think I don't even remember. There we go. Easy example.
Well, let's do this without looking them up.
Right. I'm not going to. I know the names, and that's all I do. I know the names and the year. All right. Mr. Kennedy. Mr. Kennedy.
I only remember that one because he didn't really work. But I don't. Do I remember the moments? No, I do not.
No. And Mr. Kennedy, he lost it to Edge. He lost the contract to Edge, who then had it and then cashed in on somebody.
Oh, well, there you go.
Right.
Wait, are these Money in the Bank winners or cash-ins?
These are people that have won a Money in the Bank and then cashed in.
So
but the briefcase can get changed. So Mr. Kennedy never cashed it in. He lost it to Edge.
Oh, so why are we using him? I thought we were doing...
Well, I'm doing cash-ins and people that have it, because also people think that the briefcase means... Because we're going to talk about it with Theory, too.
Yeah.
I think you need to do both. I think you need to do both, just because I think it's important to show both, because again, it's not the immediate, oh my God, this person's now just a gigantic superstar and a made commodity at this point that people think it is, especially in recent years. It hasn't been that. CM Punk won it at WrestleMania 25.
I remember his cash.
Yeah, I did.
He had a good cash.
That one was good. He won it at both WrestleManias. He won it at WrestleMania 24 and
25. So his cash in was similar to this one in that it's like there was a groundswell of people who wanted this for him.
Right. Those I would say works for him. We're good. Yeah, I'm cool with those. Yeah. All right, Jack Swagger.
If this was like a Sporkle quiz of people who cashed in,
you're never getting Jack Swagger.
No.
Then we had SmackDown ones and Raw ones. We had Kane. Kane held it for 49 minutes. You remember that?
Okay.
No, you don't.
Sure.
The Miz.
I mean, I remember him carrying it around.
This one I'm going to say was, because this is when he cashed in on Randy Orton, won the title, went to main event WrestleMania, which I don't know if you know, but the Miz main event at WrestleMania. He's also like an 8-time Intercontinental Champion.
Yeah, I mean, he does a good job in his promos making sure you remember that
You'll
stuff.
never forget it. Yeah, you'll never ever.
I'm not even knocking him. I mean,
no. He has made the most out of this. Like, yeah,
I'll say his was successful.
Yeah, I would say it was too. Okay. Yeah. Money in the Bank 2011, Dan O'Brien won it and then cashed in 150 days later.
Yeah, obviously that's very memorable.
Yeah, that one was good. Alberto Del Rio, who won it at Money in the Bank, tried to cash it in on the actual Money in the Bank show. Obviously, CM Punk stopped him from doing that. And then he would later do it, I think, 28 days later. So he'd cash in on.
I remember it being stopped and all that, but I don't consider that successful.
No,
Money.
I wouldn't either. Dolph Ziggler, 2012.
If I have to think this hard about whether I remember it or not, the answer is no.
So that one I would say was. The problem is the follow-up was horrible, because remember, he won the match. I think he beat Del Rio or whatever. It was a big, giant deal. He carried the briefcase forever, too. He carried that thing for almost the whole year around. It was a big part of his character for a while. He cashed in, but then the problem was the follow-up. They didn't have a follow-up. It was just like, Dolph Ziggler's a made guy. Not similar to this like Liv Morgan thing, but very similar to a lot of other ones where it's like, all right, here we go, and then nothing happened after that with Dolph.
I feel like it was too late for Dolph.
It was, and then he got his concussion, and we talked about it at the time that, you know, on our show that we were doing at that time, which seems unbelievable that we were doing it at the time, is that the second Dolph got that concussion, it was over for him, and it was. Vince never trusted him ever again. So, John Cena won Money in the Bank in 2012. Do you remember that?
I don't remember.
Do not remember it either. Damian Sandow.
Can we give a caveat here? We should give the caveat that we're not the biggest fans of this company.
Right. But
other people might have better recollections of these. But what I can tell you accurately is now we're into years where we had this show.
Right. We were watching everything and doing this show.
And we're watching everything and analyzing it and taking it all seriously, even if we didn't necessarily enjoy all of these eras. Of
right. And if we don't remember any part of it, or there might be parts that I remember, but like we're trying to say, is this like okay, here you go. Yeah. Now we're off to the races.
Correct.
Damian Sandow, 2013.
I very much remember him having it, but it didn't do anything for him.
No. Randy Orton, 2013. Now, this one is pretty memorable because obviously he cashes in on Daniel Bryan at SummerSlam, starts the whole authority angle and stuff, turns heel in the process. I'd say that one was pretty memorable.
They used that one as a storyline igniter, but he didn't need it.
Right.
He was Randy Orton.
The modern one that I would say people point to, and rightfully so, Seth Rollins, 2014.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, one of the best ever. One of the best ever. Exactly how you do this gimmick.
Yes, and it was one of the best WrestleMania matches of all time. And, that one was runaway success, yeah.
The next year, Sheamus won it.
Did he?
Yeah, he did. Yes, he did. 2016, right. Dean Ambrose won it. Held the contract for 57 minutes. So he did very similar to what Liv did. Won the contract earlier in the night and then cashed in. You remember that match?
No.
And that moment? No.
No. Who'd he cash on?
He cashed in on, of course, I know this off the top of my head. I want to say it was Seth. He did. He cashed in on Seth. Seth beat Roman, and then he cashed in on Seth. Who could forget Money in the Bank 2016? Yeah. I'm sure we have an extensive review of it in our archives that you can go listen to. All right.
First thing I'm going to do is watch that classic.
Right, on the Peacock, yeah.
Yes.
If you could find it on the Peacock. It was season 9, episode 1 of Money in the Bank.
I'll get right on it. His music with his Bama Bangs haircut. Right.
Oh, fucking Dean Ambrose. Oh, God. 2017, Carmella.
Oh, well, fucking the chin guy. I remember.
So you do remember that. You do remember Ellsworth.
I got to say, you know what? I'm going to call that one a success because that elevated
It did make her, yeah, because then she faced Charlotte and stuff. Like, that did make her.
And she's still kind of on that level where she's a challenger for the title.
Right. I agree. Because, like, earlier, like, on this Money in the Bank, they mentioned that she was a previous SmackDown champion. Yeah. So that one did. I'm with you that the Carmella one did do it. One that didn't do it in 2017, Baron Corbin. Do you remember the Baron Corbin unsuccessful cash-in?
No, I do not.
Yeah, no. I do not either. 2018, Alexa Bliss.
I don't remember it. I would say that wasn't. I don't know. I don't think her career is in any kind of a different place, whether she won that or not.
Yeah, I agree. Braun Strowman, he cashed in by saying that he's going to face Roman Reigns at Hell in a Cell, and then they went to a no contest, and then that's how they got the contract off of it. Do you remember that? You don't remember? I remember that just because we were like, come on, because they didn't. That was during the Roman train. I think that's when we made the peak amount of Roman train noises, because we said they kind of like made a dude in Braun, like they kind of got a guy. They made him into something. He went, I'm going to face Roman at Hell in a Cell. His like voice or whatever. And then they didn't want Roman to lose, and they didn't want to give Strowman the title, so they just made it a no contest. And then Braun just went and did something else.
Well, now he's facing Austin Aries in a barn in Georgia, so I would say that it wasn't successful.
Did not work. No. It did not work well for him.
Now he's in a booth. Now fans are paying $50 to yell at him in a booth. Right. So
to call him a boomer.
No. Yeah.
Oh man, Bailey, 2019. It's Bailey.
I don't remember her. With
She cashed in on Charlotte Flair. It's
now, see,
Bailey.
you're gonna get now. These are good examples of ones where you're gonna get different opinions from WWE
Right,
fans. They're gonna be
right.
like, "That was great! Oh my god!" And they're gonna remember all this bullshit. And it's like, it didn't do anything though. Like, it didn't help Bailey at all. Like, Bailey was the same level of star before and after.
Right.
And it wasn't memorable.
Brock Lesnar won the Money in the Bank in 2019.
Well, yeah, he just crashed the match, right? That was the
Yes.
one where I remember
it was
that.
awesome, yeah, because it was all these dorks. It was like,
yeah,
I'm looking at it. Okay, it was Ali, Andrade, Baron Corbin, Drew McIntyre, Finn Balor, Randy Orton, Ricochet, and then like he just came out and just beat everyone's ass and took the briefcase.
Like, and what was great about that one is, unlike Theory, who was in the whole match, Brock just showed up at the end.
Yeah, he just showed up and took the briefcase, and everyone was like, well, I mean, I'm not going to tell him he can't have it. So then he just had it.
Who was the geek at the top of the ladder who, instead of
Ali, I remember it vividly. Yeah. Ali just like stared. He could have just easily reached up and got it, but then played it, and he just stared.
Like, while that, he could have just took the belt down
Right.
while the music was playing, but he was staring. You know, because this is where they tell stories.
Yeah, they're telling stories. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great story.
But that story rocked. Yeah, that story.
A guy just being a fucking idiot and not pulling the belt down. That's the story
Right.
they tell. Yeah, but no, I remember that cash in,
Yeah.
or that victory vividly. Yes, obviously.
Asuka 2020.
Well, now this was the pandemic on top of Titan Towers.
Yes.
Right? Her and Otis, we can lump him in. No, these were obviously awful failures. I mean, Asuka cashed in the next day because Becky was pregnant. Like, she didn't even have to win a match.
I think the gimmick was that Becky said, "Oh, actually, in the briefcase is the title, not the title shot or something." Yeah.
Right. And Otis, we all know how that went.
Yeah, the Otis one did not go well. He lost the contract to The Miz. The Miz defeated Lashley, and then Lashley defeated him like a day later. So, yeah, didn't do anything for him. 2021, last year, Joe. Remember these two? We had conversations about both these. Nikki ASH. I mean, come on. What are we doing here? Get out of here.
Waste of everyone's time.
Yeah. And then Big E, which we, again, at the time said, reel it in, pump the brakes, be careful. Yep. And we were right.
It started off so well and went downhill immediately. So unfortunately. But yeah.
And that's it. So, that's the history. So, like, yeah, what do we have? Like 4 or 5
half
that
a
were
dozen?
Yeah, that were transformative ones. Like the Brock Lesnar one we remembered, but it was fucking Brock Lesnar. He didn't need it. Randy Orton, as you mentioned, was an interesting one, but he didn't need it. Like, people that needed it, we're at Edge,
3 or 4,
Carmella,
Punk,
The Miz. Like, it's very, very few.
Like four. Yeah.
And
where they needed it, and it helped them and it elevated
right,
them.
Right.
And it's not like Carmella is a fucking top of the line star. She just she got moved up from non-entity to mid-carder.
Right.
So
yeah, that's all I'm saying. Like, it's in the moment, it feels very exciting, and it feels like oh my God, here we go. This is the beginning. But yeah, history has not shown that to be true.
Okay, so I think I was tough but fair on Liv. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think Liv, there's a desire for her to get better. I think she has tried really hard to get better. I think she is slightly better than she was when she came in. But I don't know I mean, there's nothing that's I've not seen anything from her that says she's a transformative person in this company. There's nothing I've seen yet. This could be the jump off moment. It could be, but yeah, I have certainly not seen it just yet with her. So I don't know.
Do you see megastar there? I do not.
I really don't. Yeah, I don't. I see good at, like, maybe this might be her Carmella moment where she's now elevated to being a person that you can go to, that you can give title shots to, that you can't. But like, yeah, the idea that now she's gonna main event of WrestleMania, I don't see that at all. I just don't.
It doesn't pop for me.
No. She's not on that level.
I just don't now. And again, I'm highly skeptical that this is also an honest effort. I really am. I think I saw a theory, no pun intended, but I saw a theory that because they know that Liv is very popular among a certain segment of the fan base and that this would get over well, and they knew that they were going to screw everybody later with the theory thing by putting them in the match and disappointing people with the heel winning and all of that.
Right.
That's kind of why they did the thing with Liv. And that makes a ton of sense when you see how over the top they made Cole and McAfee react. It really does make a ton of sense. But again, I mean, she main evented one of the worst Raw third hours ever, like on record. That might still be the all-time low for a Raw that wasn't a holiday, the .35.
Yeah.
Because that was just this past December. I don't think they've gone lower than that since. I could be wrong, but that's one of the worst Raws ever, and it was her main event that just completely bombed. Heyman tried to get behind Liv Morgan, and it didn't really take. Now, that might not be entirely fair because Heyman wasn't given the proper time to get any of those people over before the rug was yanked out from under him. So who knows? All I'm saying is previous attempts, whatever weight you want to put in, haven't really worked out to make this person a big star. This is the latest. And I don't know. I'm not seeing it. And here's my hot take. Man, if I had to bet on either Liv Morgan or Theory becoming a big star in this company, all of my money's on Theory. What are we doing here? And I don't even think Theory is any kind of lock. Believe me, I don't think Theory is any kind of lock. But if I got,
there's going to be a lot more effort in making Theory a star than there's
absolutely,
going to be putting in Liv Morgan a star.
And there's going to be way more effort put into Theory. Number one, and that's the most important thing. The number one factor is fucking Vince behind you, and we know he's behind Theory. And the other thing is, look at him. He's everything Vince wants. And if Theory ever figures it out, he's going to be a big star. The question is, will he figure it out? That I'm highly skeptical of. I was moderately high on him in NXT because I thought his work was really improving. He was hit or miss in Evolve, but he was a kid. He was 19, 20 years old. And he was good for his age, but he was spotty with his performances. I thought NXT was really hitting his stride. Now, when I watch Theory work, there's something missing. There's something missing with his work. He's getting better projecting himself. He's getting better talking. I don't know if he can cut a babyface promo, and he's going to have to, because eventually the idea is he would be a babyface. Does he come across well as a smug, annoying heel? Yes. But the future would be as a big-time babyface, and I don't know if he can do that yet. So again, I don't want people to misrepresent what I'm saying. I'm not telling you that Theory is a lock to become a big star. I'm not telling you that I think that Theory is going to work. What I'm telling you is if I had to bet on one or the other, though, without any thought, I'm more confident in Theory getting there than Liv Morgan. And coming out of this pay-per-view, you would think that it's like the total, like everyone seems to think Liv is like this sure thing and Theory is the huge mistake. And I don't know. Right now it's like Theory's not even close, but I think he has a better shot. If we're talking real star, not what the fans call a star, I'm talking about real stars. I think Theory has a better shot long term.
Yeah, and I think another thing that you can do is, and this is a very effective way to look at it, and I know it's WWE and wins and losses don't matter as much as they probably should, but look at the booking of Theory leading up to this show and look at the booking of Liv Morgan leading up to the show. And look at the very clear differences in Theory winning a lot of his matches, winning the U.S. title, losing to Cody Rhodes by DQ. You know what I mean? They protected him against Cody Rhodes by DQ, beating Ali, losing the title to Lashley, but everybody knew when that title loss happened to Lashley that was like the elevate. We said it. That's the elevation. When he loses that match earlier in the, everybody at Money in the Bank earlier in the night knows. Okay, now, you know what I mean? Like we knew that. Okay, this guy is moving up.
What we said last week was he'll probably lose to Lashley because they want to put him in there with Cena, and you don't have to worry about the U.S. title. Right. But it looks like instead. We were on the right track. The reason he lost to Lashley was to win the Money in the Bank. Right.
He might still face Cena too, but yeah, now he's gonna have the Money in the Bank as
so
well.
we were on the right track with it though. Like we spotted that one a mile away because that's classic WWE booking. Like Lashley won that match and won the title, but the real winner there was Theory. Like Lashley's in the same spot that he's always gonna be in, upper mid card guy. But that clears up Theory to do all sorts of other interesting things.
Right. And the booking led that way. He's been winning a lot, so that made all the sense in the world. Liv Morgan, lost a Raw Women's Title #1 contendership match to Carmella like 3 weeks ago. You know what I mean? Like, lost matches to Rhea Ripley recently. Lost exchanging wins back and forth with Alexa Bliss. Like, we said that with Big E at the time too.
Hold on now. This is the company that tells good stories.
Right. We had this. I feel like we could just let's just what we should do after the show, Joe, is you and I can record a basic generic. We can enter the names later, but record a basic generic. Look at the booking leading into Money in the Bank to decide if this Money in the Bank cash-in even it means something or not. Because we said the exact same thing about Big E. We said the exact same thing about when Big E actually cashed in the Money in the Bank. Is that like? Just look at the booking, like the booking usually tells you what they think. Yeah. And even in this company where a lot of times they don't care, they'll tell you when they care. They'll show you when they care. When they care is what they do things like they did with Theory. That's why they care. When they don't care and they don't have long thoughts is what they do with something with the Liv Morgan, where they woke up that morning and said, fuck, we're going to have Theory win. People are going to go home unhappy. Let's give them the Liv moment. Like that, I truly believe that that's probably what happened. That it was probably a 24-hour or 48-hour decision or whatever. Whereas this Theory thing is clearly they were building this up for a while, and this was the eventual plan that they were going to get to, whatever it was going to be. And that's, you can tell that the booking always shows you that. The booking showed us last year that they didn't have confidence in Big E, that they didn't think Big E was a bona fide star, and that despite doing the one night big pop and he's going to cash in or whatever, that they didn't see he was a big star. The booking has showed us that they think there is a star. The booking has showed us they don't think Liv is a star. Will that change after this week? I can't tell you. We'll see. But like you said, I'm certainly not betting on it.
Right. I'm highly skeptical that this is a real Liv Morgan push. This company has to prove to me that it is. And how many times are we going to have the same conversation every time they do this?
Turning into skull and bones. I'm waiting for them to. Yeah.
We have a much better chance of seeing a series of make it make sense tweets regarding Liv.
Right, Liv in a pile crying when Charlotte beats her for the title,
Liv tapping out to the figure 8.
Right, make it make sense.
And then Ryan Satin tweeting, make it make sense. That's how this ends. Not with Liv main eventing WrestleMania. And I don't understand why these people never learn. But on the whole, it's like, to WWE fans, none of this shit matters because they think this was fucking great. To them, because they've taught these fans that it's the moments that matter. Liv got the moment. Liv goes on the bump with her little title belt, big smile on her face. It seems to mean a lot to her. Rich, long gone are the days of Jake the Snake Roberts lobbying to not win
right,
title.
I don't want to carry the title.
Carry it around. Right? Now these people think it's a real accomplishment.
Right,
and look, I'm not knocking them. It's just a different mindset with a lot of wrestlers now. This means a lot to her. Okay? And so I'm not shitting on that. But, it's a lot different than it used to be where they didn't give a shit whether they won titles or not. Some guys were more. There were different personalities and whatnot. But for the most part, it was just, how much are you paying me? Am I working on top? The title is, a prop. But, it's, we're more likely to see that kind of ending to this. And we've done these shows before where we're like, we know people are going to be mad at us. And then we end up being right. And not because we want to be. Nobody wanted Big E to work more than this show.
Oh, my God, yeah. We've been saying it for as long as this show existed, we said push Big E. When Dolph Ziggler had the fucking briefcase, remember he was walking around with Big E at the time. And we had shows where I said, God damn, that's the guy. That's the star. Dolph's cool and all, but that's the dude. Like,
we've got to be realistic and pragmatic about it.
Yeah.
The booking doesn't lie. This was not a great build-up to her winning it, but it doesn't matter because you just give these people this. That Garrett Kidney thread about the Money in the Bank cash-in and the Liv thing was perfect. It was just pitch perfect. Let me see if did you read that Garrett?
I don't know if I did. Yeah, I don't know, but Garrett rarely misses.
You're not a big Twitter guy anymore, and me. I check Twitter twice a day to keep up with the news. You don't even look.
I'm out. So, I'm zero sum at this point, which is fantastic. Yes,
I know because you don't plug any of my Patreon stuff.
I do some. No, that's not true.
How many things did I write last week? I can't get a plug.
There. Oh, shut up! It's on
I can't get a plug. Hold on. Let me pull up this Garrett Kidney. All right, I got it right here. I saved the. This is just. But again, this is just a product of just different mindsets. So I am stalling because I'm copy pasting the link. Here we go. Let's see.
4, 5.
9.
Very Francesa. All right.
Twitter page not found. All right, great.
Damn it.
Try it again. I'm not trying to search Twitter. I'm trying to just.
Yeah, I could
Google
probably find
blank.
it quicker than you. Garrett's got a lot of tweets too, so
He has a lot.
You've got to be kidding me. Voice of Wrestling Podcast Network, great TNA history show.
Does tweet a lot though. Oh, here we go. Oh, never mind. I fucked up because I left the description in there. Okay, here we go. I got it. Right?
Got it. Yep.
Here's Garrett, and I quote: "I'll never stop banging the drum that I hate that WWE uses Money in the Bank for first-time title wins more often than not these days. But clearly, it's not a thing modern fans really care about, and they just want to give their faves to get their moment. It's actually an interesting study of WWE storytelling, where somebody's journey to the title isn't really a story that plays out on TV more than it does in fan communities hoping for their fave to get the moment they deserve." So I'll stop there, but there's more.
Yeah,
and he's
great.
dead on right.
Mm-hmm.
It's they don't tell good stories to build up to the title win. They just randomly give you a random because as you laid out, her booking has not been good. She hasn't been booked like a star.
Right, and it's easy. All you have to do is, 5 months ago when you're talking about Money in the Bank, say, all right, Liv's going to win our Money in the Bank. Let's tell the story from here to Money in the Bank. They didn't do that.
Yeah, and Garrett makes a good point. It's the fan communities that do their own headcanon with these things and want to see these people. But anyway, I'll continue with Garrett here. He makes other good points. "I had this eureka moment when Kevin Owens had the world title handed to him on a silver platter as a heel by Triple H, and the crowd chanted, 'You deserve it,' in response."
Do you remember that?
Do you remember the show we did after that?
Oh, my God. When Triple H pedigreed him and said, "Pin him," and Kevin Owens went, "Okay." And then he said, "You deserve it." We were like, oh, my God, we're broken. It's over. Yeah, I remember that. That was a great show.
We buried the fans for like on Twitter. "Oh, this is such a great..." He's a heel. He got it in the most cowardly way possible. So anyway, Garrett finishes that tweet by saying, "The modern WWE fan doesn't particularly care about the stories or the characters. They just like the people."
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's true. And that's why it's a total farce. Rich, it's a farce that this is the storytelling company. They don't tell stories in this company. It's just on to the next moment. They didn't tell a story with Liv.
They create moments. They do moments. They're in a moment creation business. They're in a content and moment creation business. They're not in a story business. But
they have fooled their fans into thinking that Liv cashing in, which is a heel move, by the way. Liv cashed in on an injured, tired Ronda Rousey.
He kicked her in the knee and rolled her ass up.
Rich, that's a terrible story. But they have convinced their fans that these are good stories. It's wild. Okay? But again, like Garrett says, these fans don't care about stories or characters. They just like the people. They like Liv. They like you only live once, and they're happy for her. That's what this is. And Rich, that's why I don't think she goes any higher than this. So anyway, Garrett goes on, which there's nothing particularly wrong with. It's just funny that WWE pretends to be we make movies, storytelling company, when the audience clearly doesn't actually care about their stories.
Yeah, right on.
Not only does WWE TV not matter, it's not even meant to. It's not meant to build to anything or go anywhere. It's meant to fulfill contractual content hours to kill time until they arbitrarily decide who to give the next moment, trademark, to next. There is no incentive for them to do otherwise. End thread. It's just brilliant. It's brilliant stuff. He's dead on with every single point he makes in that thread. And it's all the stuff that we've been preaching. And he just is clearly better with his words than we are, because he just makes those points in 4 threads, in four tweets.
We're 25 minutes in 4 paragraphs. He did it exactly. Yeah, he nailed it. That's perfect. Yeah, that's great.
And everything he says is correct. These aren't good stories, but they don't have to be, because WWE fans don't give a fuck about. But the thing is, they think that they're great stories, right? And they'll go on and on about how AEW and New Japan don't tell stories when they have been fooled into thinking these are good stories. Liv Morgan loses all of her matches and then cashes in a cowardly fashion, and we're praising this as a good story. No, it's a terrible story. pop for the moment, and they know you like the person behind it. So
And then inevitably we'll do the same thing we always do. Make it make sense, and then on to the next moment. And then 2 months later, a new moment will be created for a new person, and then we do the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, we'll do it for Montez Ford in a year, and we'll do it for, we'll go right down the line. And it never stops. It's, on to the next one. Yeah. Absolutely right. So, no, I am not buying into this Liv Morgan thing.
You're not buying WrestleMania main eventer Liv Morgan stock?
And honestly, Rich, I'm not even convinced it would work if they gave her a genuine push. And that's the part that may make people upset. Although I suspect the people that would be upset by that are never going to listen to this.
Probably not listening to this show, or they're hate listening, and hello, thank you for hate listening to us.
Right, but I mean, I'm not even confident that if they gave her an honest try, because I kind of think she's at her level. That's kind of, where I see her. And again, she seems very likable. I don't have any beef with her. I mean, I could see why people attach to her personality and all those sorts of things, but, and it really, and I mean, geez, she cries every 13 seconds. So, all this stuff means something to her.
Yeah. She was crying as the match started. And that's how, if you didn't know that Liv Morgan was going to win this match, the bell rang and she was crying. And I was like, all right, well, that's the end of that.
She was crying coming down for the Money in the Bank match. Right. We all knew at that point she's going to win money. I went in our Voice of Wrestling Slack and I was like, oh, she's going to win. She's crying before she even gets down to the ring. She was crying before the Becky main event on Raw that I talked about, which bombed. She cried 1,000 times. So she clearly cares about this shit, and it means something to her. More so than the cynical Jake Roberts people of the past who didn't give a fuck. And she wants it, but I don't know. But I guess we should break down this pay-per-view. Huh?
Yeah. So. Let's talk about some of the matches here real quick. We'll start with that match. That was the opener, the Women's Money in the Bank match. It was Liv Morgan, obviously, winning the briefcase, defeating Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Becky Lynch, Lacey Evans, Raquel Rodriguez, and Shotzi. There was a lot of spots in this match, but it really, 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 really just felt like a collection of spots to me. I don't know. I saw some people really, really like this match. I think there was some really cool stuff in it, but I don't know. It was a connective tissue match. I don't know if there was a whole lot in
this match fucking stunk.
Yeah, it was just...
there were blown spots left and right. Shotzi was so bad in this match that she got harassed off of Twitter, which is a joke. I know she was bad in the match, but to get run off of Twitter to the point where she's probably sitting home depressed because people are getting on her case. That's a little much. All she did was fall off a ladder. Can we calm down?
She wasn't that bad. Yeah, she didn't ruin the match for me. She was just as sloppy as everybody. Everybody in this match had their bouts.
This match was atrocious. This match was terrible. This
was
just
really ambitious. I'll give them that. They tried a lot of stuff, but that's not always good. I don't always have to give credit for ambition. You know what I mean? But ambition,
but again,
especially when you don't do ambition properly, it doesn't. You don't get credit for that.
Oh yeah. But this is another example.
I can try to dunk a basketball, but I'm going to probably miss every time, so I should stop doing that.
This is another great example of the WWE audience being so much different than the rest of the pro wrestling audience because they chanted, "This is awesome" during this match. That audience doesn't care that people are slipping off of ladders and botching left and right and screwing up spots and, almost killing each other because nobody can complete. There was a run there 5 or 6 minutes in this match where just nothing went right for 5 straight minutes. But because there's a lot of people crashing through tables and falling off of high things, WWE fans are chanting, "This is awesome" at this. The 2 million or so people that are still watching this company, they know how to service these people with these moments and with matches like this that are just car crashes that, they're not watching it with a technical eye. But this was a really hard to watch match, but it's the perfect example of the disconnect between fans like us and fans like the people in that building, because those people thought this match and this show ruled. And this was a very average pro wrestling show at best. It wasn't a terrible show, but it wasn't a good show by any means. But hardcore WWE fans think this show was great. And we'll get to why later on with some of the other matches. But this match was awful, and it's getting "This is awesome" chants. I couldn't believe it. Anyway.
So Liv won that one, of course. I'll move on to the U.S. title match. Bobby Lashley defeats Theory. Just a aggressively TV match here. This was nothing at all.
That's all it was. I have nothing to add.
Yeah, nothing to add. Theory's really good at doing side headlocks to the hard cam, and Lashley got his win. And It was 11 minutes, and I'll never, ever think about it ever again. Moving on, Bianca Belair defeating Carmella to retain the Raw Women's title.
Nothing.
This was pretty bad, too. Yeah, Bianca's great, but Carmella seems nice.
I have no thoughts on this. It's just a nothing match. These were two nothing matches. These were just 2-star TV matches.
Right, they were TV matches for sure, just to move on to the show. Then we had a match that I think is going to be very interesting to talk about here. Raw Tag Team titles, SmackDown Tag Team titles. The Usos have both, and they're defending both of them against the Street Profits. Currently, right now, on Cage Match, it has an 8.14 on Cage Match. I don't know. The Observer is not out yet, so we don't have the Observer rating on this. Joe, is this where I tell you that I thought this was a very good 4-star match? I don't know, 3 3/4.
I mean, you wouldn't be far off from the Cage Match rating, which is like a 4, right? I mean, there's people calling this match of the year. There's people calling this the greatest tag team match they've ever seen. And I'm not making any of this
and Joe, there are people I trusted that said that. Like people that I'm not even like. I'm not just saying like you're normal. Like there's weirdos that say that about stuff, and I'm like, all right, this guy's lying. There's people that I trust that said this. So when this match came on, I was like, slapped my hands together, like, let's go, let's do this. And then it was over, and I was like, yeah, that was.
There was people
good.
Who were there were people immediately tagging Meltzer, telling him he better give it 5 stars. This was, and I mean, this isn't just me doing a bit.
Yeah, I don't want to piss in cornflakes either.
I said this in real time. You saw it in our Slack. Halfway through this match, I'm like, this match sucks. There's nothing happening. It's lazy. The crowd's not into it. Then Montez Ford does one really beautiful dive, and they have a moderately decent closing stretch, and all of a sudden people are calling this a 5-star match. Rich, I honest to God would call this a 3 1/4 star match. Forgettable. Nothing. I mean, this isn't one of the 200 best matches I've seen this year. I can confidently say that.
This is going to sound really gatekeepy, but if this is your match of the year, you need to watch more wrestling. It's
oh, my God.
I could say it. I feel that's a horrible thing to say, like a really gatekeepy thing. But, I mean, seriously, when it was over, I was like, the people that think this is like one of the, like, I got some wrestling to show these people. If they like this, if this is the style of match that you like and you thought was great, boy, do I have matches for you. I got some things for you. So feel free to reach out to us because I can send you guys some stuff if you thought this was your match of the year. I mean,
even the story they were telling didn't work for the crowd because the whole idea of this match was the Usos working over the Street Profits and giving them nothing and getting heat. But it didn't get any heat. Like, no one cared about this dominant control segment that lasted for 8,000 years, seemingly. The crowd was dead for the Uso control segment, which wasn't interesting at all.
And took up like 18 minutes of the match. Like that's the other thing too that I'm at probably at the exact same point where you are, where this match is going on. I'm like, all right, when does this become like a match of the year contender? Like,
I genuinely thought someone was injured. That's how bad this match was until the closing stretch.
Yeah, I think it was around 14 or 15 minutes. That was just nothing, man, nothing.
I was like, did someone twist an ankle? Did someone pull a hamstring? Are they intentionally, like, what's happening here? And then I figured it out. I'm like, all right, well, it's just a heat segment, an endless heat segment that isn't working for anyone. Like, no one was rallying behind Street Profits. No, it was just dead. Then Ford does a gorgeous dive over the turnbuckle post. Okay. And they do their little closing stretch for like 90 seconds.
And he's great, by the way. He's
great.
Awesome.
The guy should be a star, and he never will be because of everything we just talked about. But the guy should be a star. And then they do the finish where the shoulders up to set up the rematch. All right, whatever. But it's like at the end of this, I'm thinking, all right, this went from like a 2-star match to like a 3-star match. And then I go on Twitter and people are adding Dave Meltzer to where you better give it 5 stars. If this was in the Tokyo Dome, you'd give it 5. What? What?
I don't know.
I've easily seen Rich. Oh, Jesus Christ! 90% of the Impact Against All Odds was better than this.
I agree.
What are we doing?
That was going to be my hot take. Is that there was a better match that weekend? Blew it away.
This would be the 9th best match on Forbidden Door. Am I lying?
No.
The only match on Forbidden Door this was maybe better than was Tony Storm and Thunder Rosa. And I'm not even sure about that. And it wasn't even as good as at least 2 of the pre-show matches on Forbidden Door. There is no way on earth that this was a better match than Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland versus Kanemaru and Despy. Not a fucking chance. I won't even accept the debate. That blew this away. This was like the 9th or 10th best match on Forbidden Door. I couldn't believe what people were saying about this match, but I have a theory.
Real quickly, one thing before you do that. Grapple. I open up the Grapple app. 3.89 on Grapple. So Cage Match and Grapple are with us more so than the other people that we saw, the crazies that we saw.
I don't even want... Listen, I won't even kill you if you want to give it 4 for the dive and the excitement.
Yeah, no, I think I'm like 3 3/4 and 4. I thought the last portion of the match was solid as hell.
I mean, I'll disagree with you, but I don't think you're insane. You're insane if you think this is a 5-star match and the best tag team match you've ever seen. Things that real people are saying. That's insane. That's crazy talk. I don't have a problem with that Grapple rating, 3.89. That's like right between where me and you are or whatever, or right where you are. That's fair. And that gives me hope that it's just like, that's why I have the following theory.
All right, what do you got?
These WWE fans, they don't see great matches. So if they get anything that even sniffs a great match, they think like, you know, because how often do they see great matches?
I kind of said it earlier that if you think this is great, you need to watch more wrestling. And again, I hate to say that, but yeah, it's kind of the same theory you're saying. If this is all you watch and you don't open your mind to anything else and don't watch other, and it's not even an AEW thing, like Japan, Indies, Impact, you know what I mean? Ring of Honor, like dude, okay. FTR and the Briscoes, like what was that, 3 months ago?
Yeah.
Not even the universe, not even the galaxy. Are you kidding me? Are you fucking serious?
It's not even close. Like, not even. Come on.
Like, I'm not even saying it's even if you fucking despise AEW and hate AEW, great. Never watch AEW. AEW sucks. Whatever. Watch FTR and the Briscoes from Ring of Honor. Like, yeah, different stratosphere than this match.
Just come on. And here's the second part of my theory. The Usos Young Bucks culture war.
Oh God, yeah.
So if the Usos are in a match, you can't give in to your culture war and ever say it's not a great match. And if it's even good, it automatically has to be great because you're trying to keep up with the Young Bucks in the culture war. So you can't give an inch and you're going to overrate anything they do, which this is probably to me the most overrated match I've seen. Man, I can't think of the last time I thought a match was as overrated as this one, where I can't even see why someone would think this is a 5-star match. I cannot understand why you would even think that. There's been other matches where people thought they were great, and I can at least understand why they thought they were great. All right, I see why you think it's great. I disagree, but you make some good. There's no way I can ever accept that this match will not finish anywhere near the top of our match of the year.
God, no. It will not. Nowhere close.
Nowhere close.
It'll have like 3 first-place votes and like
not
six like other random. No. There will be. I promise you, there will be somebody that will do it. I have a feeling there's going to be a few, but we'll see at the end of the year. I have a feeling there'll be like a couple people that have it as their one match. Like 4 or 5 people will have it as like their number 7, and then like one other person will have it as their number 10, and it'll finish like 58th or something like that.
I disagree. I think this is Sadness Village. I think this gets like 2 10th place votes, and no one remembers it at the end of the year. I think this is a product of what I just said. This is Uso Young Bucks culture war. I think the Grapple rating and the cage match rating tell the story here. That it's just this is a. I think we're overreacting to a small segment.
It must be, yeah. We do not have perfectly curated timelines anymore.
I think that's, and I think because no, a match that gets under 4 on Grapple is not getting any. I can't see it make it doing any serious damage in a credible match in the year poll. It just can't. I mean, fuck, man. I'm not trying to be edgy. This was like the 10th best match of Forbidden Door at best. At best. And the 4-way had a fucked up finish. I mean, I don't know. This one was baffling. But again, I think we may be overreacting to just, 14-year-old kids tweeting at Meltzer. Could that be it? I don't know.
Maybe, but yeah, I was disappointed was an understatement. I didn't watch live, and that made it even worse because I was like, man, all right, here we go. I was excited for like a really, really, really good match. So I love the Street Profits, and I like the Usos, so I was like, hell yeah, here we go. And yeah, I was done, and I was like, that's it. that's the match. Like that's our match of the year. Like, oh boy, all right. Well, it was one of those things where I'm like, do I just not like? Can I not feel anymore? I thought I was the weird one, but then I went on Cage Match, I went on Grapple. I was like, no. More people feel what I feel then. Because there's sometimes like it was the Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins matches from Mania. That was the one I think, and then the other one they had. What was the Hell in a Cell, right? Now Hell in a Cell, you felt like there was no way you couldn't feel that match because of the Cody thing. But like the WrestleMania match, I don't know, dude. It was done. I was like, I don't know.
I see, and I love that. I loved all three of them.
Yeah, I just, and that's when I thought, you know what, maybe it's just I will never feel a WWE match ever again if those didn't land for me. But yes, this was not the best example. So, what's going on, guys? This is Rich from the Flagship Podcast here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. I want to let you know about Drizly. If you look for it, every day has a cause for celebration. You can celebrate a friend for their promotion, baby, wedding, life thing, whatever the hell. Or you can celebrate yourself for keeping the couch warm. It's no easy feat, especially if it's a big couch. Or maybe you just want to celebrate living in 2022 where you can get beer, wine, and spirits delivered from Drizly in under 60 minutes without leaving said couch. So download the Drizly app or go to drizly.com, that's DRIZLY.com, and get your favorite drinks delivered today. Once again, that's the Drizly app, or go to drizly.com, DRIZLY.com, and get all beer, wine, and spirits delivered from Drizly in under 60 minutes without even leaving the couch. Drizly app or drizly.com. It's not just me. Ronda Rousey and Natalya, SmackDown Women's title. This, oh boy. Ronda
Yeah,
stinks. Natalya ain't much better, so I don't know what we're doing here anymore. But
this was no good. This is why it's like, this is, again, another the theme I'm hammering on here is WWE fans are just different because they thought this was
good. No, they didn't.
No, they thought this was a great show.
Oh. Whew.
And there's like nothing on this show that was, you know what I mean? Like they think that tag was a 5-star match and they think the Liv thing was like some transcendent moment. So this was a great show.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously they love the ladder matches. I haven't seen a ton of praise for these other nothing singles matches, but I mean, this is a great show. After Forbidden Door was last week, this is a great show. like what the fuck are we doing?
Just happened like 2 weeks ago, guys. What are we doing? Yeah. So this was a nothing happened match. Ronda Rousey won. Afterwards, Liv Morgan cashes in the most awkward way possible. She runs in. Ronda Rousey puts her in the ankle lock. I was just hoping Liv tapped out immediately. That would have rocked. Yeah, she runs in. Liv Morgan is cashing in her money in the bank, and then Ronda just puts her in an ankle lock. She just taps. Get out of my fucking ring. They would have done that with Brock, which would have been great, but they don't. They haven't gone all the way with Ronda this last run. So then Liv weirdly kicks Ronda in the knee and then rolls her up really poorly, and then 1, 2, 3, and it's over. And Liv is a star again. There you go. And then the men's Money in the Bank ladder match: Theory, Drew McIntyre, Madcap Moss, Omos, Riddle, Sami Zayn, Seth Rollins, and Sheamus. Theory gets the win. He is added to the match at the beginning. Adam Pearce comes out and says, Vegas, throwing my chips in, going all in, whatever the hell. I forget he made a bunch of casino references. And then Theory came out, and then Theory ended up winning the match. I don't know. What do you want me to say? What do you want me to say about this match, Joe? How do I say something about this match?
I thought trying to ignore the fact that we're completely over these kinds of matches, I thought it was pretty good. I probably would have liked it a lot if I wasn't completely over these kind of matches. A major problem was once they brought Theory out, everyone knows he's winning. You're not going to bring Theory into the match and then have him lose like a geek.
Right. So
there was no drama. Because as soon as Theory got sent into the match, he's winning. So you're just waiting for the moments where Theory is climbing to pay attention. But I don't know. I mean, I thought everybody worked hard. And if I still enjoyed this kind of match,
right,
then
Jesus Christ, you all right?
I'm burping over here. Yeah. I'm trying to chug this because, well, I'm not going to. Anyway, if I still enjoyed this kind of match, I probably would have liked this more, but it was fine for WWE.
Are you looking to make a can empty at some point?
Mm-hmm.
In the near future, you could just go.
Yes.
You don't have to do that. You just say, "Rich, I'll be back," and do it. But
all right, well, in that case, Rich, I'll be back.
There you go. All right, I will put over very quickly, so Joe doesn't have to piss into a can and chug a soda on the air, so he could piss into a can, which is what he's doing, by the way, which is absolutely hideous. But no, I will say that everybody I thought did work hard in this match. It's just I'm the wrong person to review a Money in the Bank ladder match or any sort of plunder match. But I did think Riddle was great. I thought Riddle was tremendous in this match. Really, really good. And they've kind of got something with him. And I know that I'm saying this, and I know that it's WWE, and I know they're going to find a way to fuck it up. But they kind of have something in Riddle. And they should really, really, really try to maybe do something with Riddle, because they've gotten something that the crowd is attached to. He works hard. He's a great worker. All that sort of stuff. I mean, obviously there's some personal things. There's some other stuff. But I don't think your standard WWE fan really is going to give two shits about most of that stuff, for right or wrong. And that is why, they got something there with Riddle, and I would like to see them at least make an honest effort to try to do something with him. But I thought Sami Zayn worked his ass off here. Almost looked good. I like the spot where they all put him through the table. That was kind of good. And everybody worked hard, but it's like, my mileage on any sort of ladder plunder match, guy going through table, guy going through barricade, guys hitting each other with ladders, I'm done with all of it. I never need to see another ladder match ever again. I never need to see anybody go through a table ever again. I never need to see guys hitting each other with stuff ever again. But I thought Riddle worked hard. Zayn worked really hard in this. Almost was solid. And I thought everybody did bust their ass. But it was, once Theory came out, it was pretty much like, all right, well, we know that Theory's winning this match. How are we going to get there? And well, we got there. So. Yeah,
pretty much.
That is Money in the Bank, show of the year contender right there. So that is that. All right, let us. You want to talk Impact Against All Odds? Or you want to talk a little bit about our Patreon, which we got a lot of stuff going on there right now. What do you want to do right now?
We should probably talk to Patreon.
Let's do that, because Patreon has a ton going on. FlagshipPatreon.com, $5, $10 tier, a ton going on. VoicesOfWrestling.com/Patreon. Patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling as well. Today, you had just posted a Thursday TV review reviewing this week's episode of Dynamite. You also ate frozen hot chocolate from Dunkin' Donuts. Dunkin's new frozen hot chocolate. You're trying to get to the high of the chocolate culotta, and you'll find out if the frozen hot chocolate gets you there. So, bonus. You have a bonus reviewer on that show as well, right? Mystery guest.
Yeah, there's a mystery review of a mystery item, of a mystery product on that show.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, it's a mystery product, too. I thought the mystery reviewer just reviewed frozen hot chocolate. That's not the case?
No. The mystery reviewer also reviewed their own product as well.
Tease. There we go. Yes. I wrote this week about a night when wrestling absolutely ruled. July 6, 1998. Goldberg doing the defeating Hulk Hogan on an episode of Monday Nitro, winning the WWE title, keeping his main event or his undefeated streak alive. It's going to play into a new series I have coming out in the next few days as well, a new series on Goldberg's win streak. We're going to start with this night. We're going to start with July 6, 1998. We'll get up to this point. We'll talk about all of his wins before. We'll talk about him defeating Hulk Hogan, and then we'll talk about Goldberg the months after. And this is going to be a multi-part series similar to the Yes Movement that I did, where it will take place over the next few months, and I'll end in December when, of course, Kevin Nash pins and defeats Goldberg to win the title and end the undefeated streak. So we'll see multiple parts. We'll dive in deep. We'll look at some thoughts at the time. We'll dive in deep. We'll really tell the story, the true story of the Goldberg streak, what happened afterwards, how it all unraveled, all the other stuff. But I'm pretty excited to do that. 173 and 1 is the name of that new series. But that'll be at Flagship Patreon. I got a $5 tier for all that multi-part audio documentary series. We'll have production music and clips and all the other good stuff. So it should be a lot of fun doing that. But you had some write-ups as well over the last week. You want to talk about those?
All right, so I did a piece looking at the Mexican excursions of Dragon Gate's La Estrella and Takuma Fujiwara. That's up right now on the $10 tier. I think this is a key excursion for Estrella. Estrella has been up and down, obviously, in Dragon Gate. Sometimes looks like he doesn't belong, but yet has some very dynamic flying when he's on his game. So those two guys are in Mexico right now. So I take a look at their excursion to this point, and I also review a bunch of the matches that they've had down in Mexico as well. So that's an interesting piece. I've also started doing a new weekly it's going to. I don't want to promise it's going to be every week, and there might be some weeks where there's more than one, but it's called Random TV Reviews, where I will do written TV reviews, and completely random, whatever I decide to write about that week. It'll be anything is on the table with the exception of Dynamite, which will still be done on the Thursday TV reviews on audio. But this could be Raw, this could be MLW Fusion, NWA Power, NWA USA, Impact, any other wrestling show that airs anywhere could pop up on this. I've done Rampage a couple weeks in a row. I've done NWA Power. I've done Impact. So look for those about once a week. Also on the $10 tier, if you like the Thursday TV reviews and like the way I review the television, you'll probably enjoy those because there's plenty of shenanigans and jokes and breaking down the TV. It's done informally. I don't review match by match. I just talk about, each show, big picture, what I liked and didn't like. So look for that about once per week. I've got 2 of those up now. I put up a new batch of match reviews on about a week ago, where I reviewed what I thought was a surefire. Not enough eyes will see it. If enough eyes saw this match, Rich, this Kevin Blackwood Jay Freddy match from Empire.
I have it scheduled to watch tomorrow. I cannot wait to watch it tomorrow.
Listen, look, not enough people are going to see it, but a legit match of the year contender. And I knew when Brandon Thurston pushed me to watch it that it was going to be great, because he's not that kind of guy. Like, he's not constantly pushing, you know what I mean? He knew it was special is what I'm getting at. And he's like, hey, you need to watch this match. And he gave me, because, I'm a very important person, Rich. So, I got a special advance copy before it dropped on IWTV.
Oh, look at you. Look at you.
But it's on IWTV now, and I haven't commentary and all the accoutrements that come with it, but the raw cut that I saw, it was incredible. But that's in my latest batch of match reviews. The other matches are Billy Starks versus Shazza McKenzie versus Dark Sheik from West Coast.
I take it that was not as good as Jay Freddy.
Not a match of the year contender, no. Not a match of the year contender. That match was so bad that the review was so harsh that I had to edit out the meanest parts. I felt bad about it.
Self-edited.
I was like, I can't publish this, even though nothing was false. Like, I'm like, this is too mean. But people are still telling me the review is still too mean. Tam Nakano versus Natsupoi, this Stardom cage match that everybody told me to watch. Well, I watched it and I reviewed it, and I'm not going to tell you what I thought of it. Did you watch the Stardom cage match or no?
I did not.
All right. And then I also, just for shits and giggles, I watched the second Stardom cage match, the main event of the show as well, and reviewed that. So those 4 matches are in the latest batch of match reviews, and Thursday TV reviews every week. That's audio, so that's the $5 tier, of course. Match of the week every week, also on the $5 tier. And yes, that's what's going on behind the paywall. There's a lot going on that $10 tier, though, because we've both got some written pieces up, and so a lot of value there. And also, I don't know what's going on with Patreon, but people are telling me that they're doing anniversary billing now. We haven't gotten any notices on this, but I know Conrad Thompson was tweeting about it. I know Sean Ross Sapp was tweeting about it. So I don't even know if it's something that we have to do on our end or not. I looked through the settings. I couldn't find anything.
I haven't seen it yet either.
And we didn't get any emails. But if it isn't happening yet, it's probably coming. Anniversary billing, meaning if you sign up for the Patreon on the 12th of the month, you will then get billed every 12th of the month instead of then getting billed on the 1st.
Right, which is great because it'll prevent our warnings that we've been doing over the last few weeks telling you don't subscribe on the 29th because you're only going to get 2 days worth of stuff. Then you can subscribe anytime you want and not have to worry about getting screwed over by only getting 2 days of content and then getting charged again the next day. So,
right. And it'll help us. It'll help you guys. That's good for everyone because when there's content at the end of the month that you're interested in, you can just subscribe and not worry about getting charged a couple days later and getting ripped off, which we always try to tell people not to do. But then, if you wait a couple days, then you might not be interested in the content. It's just bad for everyone. So We know that that's coming, and it might even be in place now. What we need, Rich, is someone to be a guinea pig, subscribe, and tell us what little message they get when they subscribe. Because under the old method, if you subscribe today on the 7th, you would get a little message that says you're going to get charged again on the 1st. So I want to know if it's just automatic now with the anniversary billing. It would be nice if Patreon would let us know, but we haven't gotten any notices.
Right, and we usually do get a notice. That's why I'm kind of dubious that it's available for us at this point, but maybe that's not correct, and actually it is available. So someone will have to let us know. Someone that's listening now that will newly subscribe to the Patreon, please let us know as soon as you can that if it did give you that option to have anniversary billing or said you're not going to be billed again until the 12th of the month or whatever. So yeah, that'll be nice to know. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see what ends up happening, but that'll be cool for everybody if that happens. But as you said, yeah, ton of stuff up on the $10 tier right now. $5 tier, as I said, the 173-1, that is coming up very, very soon. I also have a series on WCW Bash at the Beach and Beach Blast as well. That'll be coming throughout the month of July, called Beach Bash. That will be $5 there. And then the return of the very popular SummerSlam Scrambler, where I put every SummerSlam match in history into a randomizer. Then it'll spit out 10 random matches, and we'll review those 10 matches. And some of those aren't always good. Some of them are just random squash matches. Some of them are innocuous matches, but we always have fun with it because we'll talk about the wrestlers involved. We'll talk about the SummerSlam. We'll talk about some of the stuff going on. We always get some fun stuff out of any single match. So do not worry that if a match comes up, you go, it's like a 2-minute match. Why would I care about that match? I will make you care about that match. That is my job and my duty to make you care about that match. But that is a SummerSlam Scrambler that will be coming in August as well. So we had a ton of stuff up there. $5, $10 tier. That is at flagshippatreon.com, patreon.com/voicesofwrestling, or voicesofwrestling.com/Patreon. So that is that. Oh, I want to say as well, VOWretro.com. All of our past retro content that we have done on the Patreon is now available there. VOWretro.com. I have it all laid out because I've had a lot of people say, hey, I didn't know you did a series on this, or I didn't know you reviewed this, or where can I find all that stuff? That is where you can all find it. It has it all listed. You can click whatever series you want to do. Everything is there. Every match is there. Every review we've ever done there. Every deep dive. Every single series. All the Jovember remembers. All that has easy to find links. All there at VOWretro.com. So very easy for you to find VOWretro.com again if you want to go back and listen to all those. So that should be making it a lot easier, especially if you're a new subscriber and you didn't know, hey, we've been doing this thing for a couple years now, and we have a ton of content available there from the retro side. So VOWretro.com is where you can do that. All right. It's a lot of plugging. Let's finish the plugs and now get to our review. Impact Wrestling Against All Odds.
Did you watch the pre-show?
You know what? I did.
Wow, I wasn't expecting that answer.
.com chat. I did. Honestly, I didn't know it was the pre-show, and then I got duped into a pre-show because I hit play on the video, assuming that I wasn't getting the pre-show, and then I realized it was the pre-show because then Tom said, "I will see you on the main show Against All Odds," and I went, fuck, he got me. So I watched the pre-show. Yeah, I watched Black Taurus versus Laredo Kid, and then Brian Myers defeating Rich Swann to win the Impact Digital Media Championship.
Both of those matches were good.
Both those matches were really good. Yeah, I wasn't upset when it was done. When it was done, I was like, you know what? Hey, not bad.
Between Forbidden Door and this show, I mean, there's some good pre-shows lately.
I know, I can't. I have to not skip pre-shows, but I don't know.
But yeah, no, both of those matches. I mean, Brian Myers, Rich Swann, that over-delivered.
Oh, that was really good. Yeah, that was. Taurus and Laredo Kid was fine. I think it was pretty good. Myers and Swann was really good.
Yeah, they won't push Taurus. I don't understand.
It's really weird. He's got to be in the Decay. He's got to be with Crazy Steve, and I'm like, he's a fucking Black Taurus. Like, just have him. It seems easy. Like, I feel like I have a better plan for Black Taurus than he's in Decay and he's on pre-shows. I don't get it.
He's always around. He even works like the Impact pre-show, the before the Impact deal. Like, he doesn't even get on Impact. It's weird.
It's very strange.
Overall, though, Impact, I have to say, and I wrote a review for last week's Impact Wrestling that I, in my written reviews, my written TV reviews. They got me. I'm back in. And they're getting Flagship real estate again because the shows have been consistently good. The pay-per-view was good. Whatever you want to call this thing, this Impact Plus special or whatever it is, this was good. Last week's TV, I mean, that Kazarian versus did you see that Kazarian match?
I heard it was great. Yeah, I did not watch it though.
Hold on. Let me see what I would be shocked if it's under 8. It was Chris Sabin and Kazarian.
It was Sabin and Kazarian, right?
8.28 on Cage Match.
Okay, I need to go watch that then.
Yeah, another match this week better than the Usos
I was
versus.
Gonna say, sounds like another better match.
It definitely was better. Like, there's no question it was better. So Frankie Kazarian 2022. No, I swear to you, it was great. But no, Impact's been really good. And I wrote this in my review. Do I expect this to sustain? No, it's Impact. How many times have we been burned? You know what I mean? Not burned, but they go through periods where they're really good, and then it's not good anymore, and then it's horrendous, and then it's really good. Right now, Impact is legitimately really good. This pay-per-view, I thought, as a whole, or whatever you want to call it, I'll just keep calling it a pay-per-view. Man, there weren't many down points in this thing. I mean, I thought everything pretty much landed. You know?
Yeah, there were definitely Impact pay-per-views of or specials or whatever of prior years where we would watch and there'd be like a few brutal matches, like just absolutely brutal matches. And that kind of would lead us to like, hey, this is good and that's good, but I can't really watch this thing if it's going to be brutal like this. Or there's some weird Rosemary thing where she's eating somebody backstage and we're like, this is dumb. But this show was like, if this is Impact now, if this is what that company is going to be, what this show was and really what Slammiversary was, then I'm in. You know what I mean? Like I'm absolutely in, because I think that they seem to be on a pretty good path. They seem to have I think the roster more than anything. The talent roster is great right now. Very, very good. They got depth. They have depth in the women's division. They have depth in the men's roster. They have a lot of different unique workers. They have a lot of different unique styles throughout the roster as well. And it's leading to be really, really good shows. So yeah, I think I might be back in, and this might be, it's gonna be famous last words, but I think I'm a little bit back in as well. So
yeah, so
Kazarian Sabin, per Sean Cedar in the No chat room, is free on YouTube as well. Smart by Impact there, so no excuse not to watch it. It's free.
No, really. Channel. I mean, it really is. It's a great match. It really is. And then Mike Bailey and Trey Miguel on this show topped it. Mike Bailey, Trey Miguel on this show. Do you want to go? You want to do all the matches here? You want to just keep talking big picture on the show? You want to just hit?
Yeah, how do you want to handle? What do you want to do? Because I don't know if I have a ton to say about every single match here. Let's talk big picture. We can jump around a little bit and talk big picture.
So Bailey versus Trey Miguel. So, what did you think of this? Because I don't even think like 4.5 would be out of line if you wanted that to go that high on this. And it's just Mike Bailey adding another notch to his potential match, wrestler of the year belt. I mean, this guy's just
he's
money.
Putting himself in that conversation with Will. I think Will's still my guy, but Mike Bailey is making a hell of a run over the last few months, man. He really is.
And Trey Miguel, he won a 4-way on Impact the week before, which again, Chris Bay, Laredo Kid, and Macklin. And that was an awesome little TV match. And Trey Miguel has been wrestling his ass off lately. And I thought he was every bit as good as Bailey was in this match. This wasn't just Bailey. I mean, I think Trey Miguel deserves his roses too for this bout. But Bailey, yeah, I mean, his arrow's pointing up. And I didn't love the Moxley Brody King main event on Dynamite. So I think Moxley's Wrestler of the Year arrow is pointing down a little this week. If you're into tracking that sort of thing that way. And I think Bailey might have jumped him. And I'm with you. It could be, Will and Mike Bailey at this point, 1-2 in some order for Wrestler of the Year. I mean, Bailey just he's like Ospreay, is just money every time he steps.
Yeah, every time he's in the ring, no matter who he's against, he's delivering. Yeah, I don't know if I'm 4.5. I don't know if you were saying like you wouldn't. I don't know what you gave this match or what your absolute rating was for this, but I liked it a lot. I thought the Takeshita match from a few weeks ago was a little bit better. But it was very similar in styles. I love that they just went 14 minutes. It didn't need to go 25 minutes and have to be a gigantic epic. They just went out there and worked their asses off for 14 minutes. I'm probably 4.25 on it, but I mean that's still really good. That's a really, really good match, and yeah, definitely one to check out. I've seen some people a lot higher on it, and this, like you said earlier, with the Usos and the Street Profits, you couldn't understand how somebody could go higher. I can understand how you could go 4.5 on this match. I could see how you could call this a match of the year contender. I could see that. It wasn't quite that for me. I've seen a lot of other stuff this year that I thought was a lot better. But with that said, this was really, 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 really good, and another feather in the cap of both guys who are having a great year. But yeah, if there's something that you need to watch from this show, that you absolutely have to watch from this show, I would say this is the match for sure to go out of your way and check out. Like I didn't make it as much maybe as other people did, but it was still solid as fuck.
Well, cage match is 8.99, so
Wow.
that's about 4.5. I don't know if I'd go 4.5. Obviously easy notebook. I'm probably closer to you, 4.25. But the same neighborhood. I thought I gave Sabin and Kazarian 4.25, and I thought that this match was a little better, but I can't commit to 4.5. This might be my classic 4.25 that I like to do like twice a year, but no, definitely a great match. I thought the opener, Motor City Machine Guns versus Ace Austin and Chris Bay, was another notebook-worthy match. I thought the main event, Joe Doring and Josh Alexander, where they just beat the shit out of each other. That's the best Joe Doring match in a long time.
Oh, that was great. Yeah. That is another match I was going to say. If you're pressed for time, and it's just a very unique match, and it's completely, and that's what I think something I love about Impact right now, is that match couldn't be any different than Mike Bailey and Trey Miguel, but they're both good. They're both good in their own different way. Mike Bailey and Trey Miguel was an athletic competition. They're going out there. They're doing crazy stuff. They're doing as many things as they can. Josh Alexander and Joe Doring just went out there and beat the fuck out of each other. I mean, that was a match from like 1993 WCW. Like, that rocked. That match was so fucking good.
Yeah. I mean, just rock solid pro wrestling, the way I like it.
Two dudes go in there, the bell rings, and they whoop the hell out of each other until one guy wins. It's great.
Yeah. The plunder with Moose and Sammy with the Clockwork Orange. How about that Raven commentary?
Raven commentary. How did that man? Who let that man get on commentary? Somebody had to be in Gorilla. Somebody had to be backstage and say, pull him by the collar and say, not tonight, pal. I know we said you were going to be on the show, but not tonight, pal, because he was so bad. But then, I will say, he was horrible. Then he got good. Because he got fun bad at a certain point. Do you agree or disagree?
Do you think he just didn't care, or do you think he may have been under certain influences?
I thought that he may have been under certain substances.
Yeah,
But there was also a lot of I don't care.
Yeah, I feel like
I really don't know. It could be either one. Yeah.
It's hard to tell, but that's Raven.
He came out there and he was just like, yeah. Tom's like, Raven, how do you feel about the Clockwork Orange? He's like, I don't know.
I'm excited.
Right, I'm excited. And then Drama King Matt's like, those are, Atlanta Falcons. And he's like naming like Atlanta Falcons. And Raven goes, who cares about the Atlanta Falcons? Why are we talking about the Atlanta Falcons?
Yeah, because of Moose, yeah.
And then Tom's like, well, Moose played for the Atlanta Falcons. Raven, he goes, just like.
Yeah. It was weird. It was,
And then he started working blue.
Yeah.
Because there started to be nut shots, and he just started saying the word nads a lot. And then he called Sami Callihan a pussy at one point. He goes, what a pussy, get up. Yeah. So you got hit in the nads, get up. And I'm like, whoa.
It was bizarre. I think.
And Drama King Matt's he's doing me. Drama King Matt's me. And he's like, hey, Raven.
Yeah. I mean.
It got fun bad.
I think he was trying to be sarcastic and witty, but it's the wrong kind of outlet for that. It didn't work. I don't know. It was bizarre.
Yeah,
though.
He was going for the Dennis Miller on Monday Night Football, but he ended up just sounding like a drunk dude the whole time. So
yeah, I mean, he's kind of just killing the heat, like, because he wasn't taking anything very seriously. And Hannah fan before the match, he's like, well, Raven, you've been in 7 out of 9 of the Clockwork Orange matches. What do you expect to see here tonight? I don't know. It should be fun. That's it.
They really tried. They tried. You can tell. The best part is, like, 7 minutes in, Drama King and Tom just decided, we're not going to try anymore. We're just going to, we're just going to do our thing.
Talk around him.
We'll talk around him. Like, he might say something, and we'll try to respond. But for the most part,
in, great.
Right? Like, we're just going to plow through. Because then he says something, and Drama King just, it was totally the Art Donovan thing in King of the Ring, where, Gorilla and Macho earnestly tried to, make him a part of the show, and then halfway through just decide like, let's just ignore this guy and just go do our thing. And like, you got that too from those guys. And then it got kind of fun though, because then Raven realized he had to say something to get a word in, and that's when he just started saying nads and calling guys pussies and just started going off the rails. So
if we ask this guy questions, it's worse. So let's just
right. Like, yeah, because there was a lot of like, so Raven, what kind of strategy do you use? And he's like, pain's good. And they're like, all right,
all one word answers.
Just, right, they're trying. They're so trying to get something out of this guy, and it just never. Otherwise, I would say these guys, like, again, I never want to see a match where guys hit each other with shit ever again. But this was a good match where guys tried to hit each other with shit. So I'll give them the credit. Moose and Sammy did a good job with this.
I think the Honor No More tag, once again, was a shit ton of fun. I really enjoyed this way more than I should have with the Honor No More guys against America's Most Wanted, Good Brothers, and I've Got Kids guy, Heath. So Chris Harris, look, he's not in the best of shape. He doesn't need to be. He's not in the business anymore. But he was moving around all right. Like, he did not embarrass himself out there for a guy who hasn't wrestled in God knows how long. And this was just constant action. And every time they have one of these, Honor No More matches or whatever, they're a lot of fun. They're not 5-star classics, but they're a lot of fun. Chris
agree.
Harris.
It's a really good invasion angle. You know what I mean? It's really done well in the sense that, like, these guys don't feel like they're truly a part of the show. They're kind of in backstage. You know what I mean? And they've done a good job of telling it in a good way. Like, these guys hang out in the boiler room and stuff. They're not always out there. They've done a really good job. And then they come in and they're just like a gang, man. You know what I mean? It's like they're like gang wars, and they're really, really good. They're not, obviously, they're nowhere near like your UWFs and New Japans or whatever, but like, they're good. They're really, really fun matches, and they're quick and hard hitting, and they're presented like fights. They're presented like the Impact teams really want to beat these guys. The Honor No More guys really want to win the matches. Like, I really think it's a completely underrated story and a completely underrated invasion angle, if it is actually done, which I think we're in the final stages here. If not, it is actually done. I think they've done a really good job with it.
Yeah. Chris Harris hadn't been in Impact since 2011. He hadn't wrestled since 2018, if cage matches to be believed. But, I thought he looked all right. Mm-hmm. Another interesting fact from this show, and Garrett Kidney, he researched.
Garrett again?
That guy again.
You've got to be kidding me, Voice Wrestling Podcast Network.
That's right. He researched this. Joe Doring, he gets pinned in the main event, right? This is the first time Joe Doring has been pinned in a pro wrestling match since December 1st, 2019 in a tag match at All Japan where he was pinned by Kento Miyahara. How about that?
Wow, that rules. Okay. And he's been well protected in Impact too, which, by the way, that's how you tell stories. Yeah. That's how you tell stories.
Yes.
You have a guy win a lot and then he gets a title shot. That's stories.
Yeah. Yeah, no. So, he obviously had never lost an Impact, via pinfall. And he gets the title shot and he goes out there and kicks ass, vintage Joe Doring. And, the main event was Josh Alexander has been a, very good champion so far. I wish he just would have been champion this whole time and they didn't do that stupid shit with Moose.
Oh, I know. Yeah. We could have been, we'd be in the midst of like a really, really, really great reign right now. And we still are, and we still might be, but yeah, we would have been 2 months ahead, 3 months ahead already. If we had just done that, went away with that story. So
I don't think that added anything to their business or interest in him being champion. I just think that flopped. It was all bad. His family was in the ring.
They wanted to tell the story that Josh eventually overcame it, and Moose dragged the worst out of Josh and all that sort of stuff. I get it, but yeah, I just think Josh winning the title and hugging his family would have been fine too.
Just didn't feel right. It was all wrong. I wish they hadn't done it, but he's champion now, and he's off to a really good start with this title reign. So, really enjoyable show. At no point during this show was I like, should I fast forward this and just not talk when we talk about this match and let Rich take it? Which I may or may not have done for pay-per-views in the past. But I never thought about doing that for any of these matches.
No, every match. I mean, even the Chelsea Green, Deonna Purrazzo, Mia Yim, Mickie James, I thought that was well worked, hard hitting. Rosemary Taya Valkyrie versus the Influence. I mean, but 9 minutes. You know what I mean? 9 minutes. 9 minutes in and out. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything was cut pretty short and pretty well done. So yeah, I'm into Impact right now. So they've won me back temporarily.
Yeah, they're back in. They're back in. Who knows how long it'll last? I feel like they run these little Impact Plus events like every 2 weeks. I mean, let's pump the brakes. I can't be reviewing Impact twice a month here, but we might have to if these shows remain good and the booking remains solid. So, and the TV is fun now too. So, we're back on. We're back on the Impact.
We're back on. Yeah, another company that we're going to have to be back on too. Ring of Honor, Death Before Dishonor. We have some matches for this show coming up pretty quickly here, July 23rd. So we got to get the ball rolling on this ROH show here. We already knew about Samoa Joe versus Jay Lethal for the World TV title. We knew about that one. That's fine. We do have an ROH Pure Championship match, a rematch from IWTV 100. That was like a year ago, right? Almost a year ago at this exact point. Wheeler Yuta defending the title against Daniel Garcia. That's going to fucking rock. And then we have a rematch of the match we mentioned a little bit earlier. One of my matches of the year, maybe my match of the year, FTR versus the Briscoes, ROH World Tag Team titles. FTR cuts a great promo on Dynamite. The Briscoes respond with a great promo that was posted all over Twitter today as well. And they're running it back here. They're running it back, which is tough to do. When you had 4 months ago, arguably one of the best matches of the entire year, they are running it back, and there'll be a lot of expectations for this match. What's going to happen? Will they be better or worse than before? This is interesting. The booking of this is going to be interesting too, because like you said, FTR does have this belt collector gimmick right now, but there is an argument to be made that the Briscoes win this title, right?
Yeah, I'm conflicted on what I would do here, and I'm curious what you would do, because obviously it'd be smarter for the Briscoes to win the titles back and then run this for a third time, right? Do the 3 matches, because it's a big match, and I have a feeling it's going to be promoted as the biggest match on this show based on how great it was last time. And it won't make a ton of sense to have FTR just beat them twice. That's weird. It doesn't feel right.
Right. Because then you're not. That's done. Then these guys are done. The Briscoes don't get another shot. They don't. Yeah. That's why I'm pretty locked into the Briscoes winning. But the problem with that is that I like FTR and the belt collector gimmick.
Right. And if the Briscoes win, then that kind of is a detour in the road of doing FTR versus the Bucks for like all of these titles at some point, because or you'd have to wait for FTR to win them back again from the Briscoes. That's why it's an interesting match from a booking standpoint, and I don't know what they're going to do, which is a good thing, because we'll go into that match. My feeling is maybe the Briscoes win, and we're not doing FTR Bucks until the next pay-per-view. Not All Out, but whatever's after that. Full gear, whatever comes next. That might be the idea there, because I think there's more money you can squeeze out of FTR Briscoes. So I think I would have the Briscoes win this. What would you do? At the same time, though, FTR, like, they're so hot. Do you want to beat them?
They're so hot. I don't want them to lose these titles either. Yeah, this is a booking conundrum here. No contest. Time limit draw is probably like, I don't know. Yeah, because I don't really have a good answer for this, because I think the Briscoes probably should win to build up to a future match. And like you said, then the Briscoes lose, that's kind of done. It's like FTR is like, well, we beat you once and then we beat you again, so we're good. But I don't want FTR to lose either. They're on a great run. I think them being in the belt collector gimmick is good. I think them building up to a future Bucks match is good. I don't know. I feel like I'd be a coward here. I might go like no contest or time limit draw or something like that, because I want one more match with these two guys. But you
don't want FTR to lose,
right?
Yeah. No, I know it's going to be tricky. Utah Garcia, that's just pure rules. That has a chance to be real interesting. I think Garcia is the perfect kind of wrestler for the pure rules, and will be creative enough to make that because a lot of times the pure rules matches don't land depending who's in them. I trust Garcia in that spot. And then Joe Lethal, they've been building that since forever. I just want to get that match over with. But Gresham will know a lot more about his opponent after this tag match on Dynamite. It looks like Brian Cage, since he's in there in the tag match against Tully's guys, maybe they'll set up a Brian Cage match. But Moriarty already asked for a title shot. Right? He asked for a title shot, and then Tully and his guys, got involved with the promo, and then they set up the tag. The thing with Moriarty, though, is I don't know if he's a pay-per-view headliner yet at this point.
Yeah.
So it's
right.
probably going to be Cage, right? You would think is the end result here.
Yeah, probably. And I think they want to maybe do him a solid, too, just because they've kind of put him on ice for this time.
Aren't they doing him a solid by getting paid to do nothing?
I guess. I don't know. It depends what his motivations are.
Yeah. So, but I feel like that's what this would be headed towards. Either that or this little tag against, I forget those guys' names, those two beasts that Tully is managing. Unless this is just a diversion and then they'll just beat those guys or whatever, and then Gresham agrees to face Moriarty. I just don't feel like that's a super strong world title match on a pay-per-view, even though Briscoe's FTR is the main event.
Right. And that's what I was going to say. Maybe you do feel comfortable doing that because you have Joe and Lethal, you have FTR and Briscoe's, so you feel a little bit more comfortable with Gresham and Moriarty being the quote-unquote main event, even though people know that there's bigger matches on the show or whatever. So, maybe this is the right time to do that type of match if you're trying to get that direction. So,
yeah, and I think some of these guys are eventually just going to be on the ROH roster when it becomes a thing, which we're probably getting closer to since this pay-per-view's on Bleacher Report. So there's some synergy there.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them are going to go back. Like, I don't expect Daniel Garcia to be he's going to be an AEW guy. Yuta's going to be an AEW guy. I could see Samoa Joe and Jay Lethal staying in ROH.
I can too. Yeah, for sure.
I could see them bringing the Briscoes in if they're finally allowed to.
Which would be the best for Jay Lethal ever. The best.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm here forever. I'm Ring of Honor till I die. Oh, I'm out. Bye. And now he's back in Ring of Honor.
You know who I want to see get sent to Ring of Honor? Roosh. That's who I want to see get sent to Ring of Honor. Fuck that guy. Mr. Knee Injury. Wouldn't it just be great if he gets sent right back? Yeah. That'd be fantastic.
How's that knee feeling? How's that knee feeling, pal?
No, but yeah, Lethal. Mr. I stay till the doors are closed. First guy to jet.
He's out.
The very first guy.
The doors aren't even, the hinge hasn't even begun to close, and he's out.
I'm the kind of guy who stays until the doors are closed. And he's the first guy to jump after that match. And then he has the gall to say he's the kind of guy to stay till the doors closed. But he's back. They're sending him back. But there's going to be, like we talked about this, there's going to be stars. If anyone doesn't believe us that there's going to be star wrestlers who are going to be full-time ROH and out of AEW when ROH becomes a thing, all you need to know is what Khan said after Forbidden Door, that Castagnoli was earmarked for Ring of Honor and to debut on this show before the Bryan Danielson stuff happened and he became the replacement there. So that's a guy that they were going to debut at Death Before Dishonor and more than likely leave on he was going to be an ROH wrestler. And believe me, they're paying him 7 figures. Make no mistake. Okay. He's making 7 figures. So it's going to be a real promotion with real stars. And I think Castagnoli could actually end up back over there, because why not do the original plans? Unless they feel like he's so over in AEW that, oh, well, shit, now we got to keep him here. So keep an eye. There's going to be big stars that are ROH wrestlers and not AEW wrestlers at some point. But I'm sure this pay-per-view will still be a mix, of AEW regulars and everything until the TV starts, and then they could do their own thing. But the first Supercard of Honor did like 20 or 25,000 buys or something. I think he said it was the 3rd most purchased ROH pay-per-view ever. And this one, you would think, with the promotion on AEW TV and Briscoes versus FTR, I think they're going to top that number. I think they're going to beat what they did for Supercard, which was thrown together late in the game and kind of pieced together last minute and didn't have great promotion. This one's going to have much stronger television promotion over the next 3 weeks or so. Yeah. So I think they're going to be able to top that number and maybe do in the 30,000 range, I would say, something like that. But I want to see the whole card before I commit to the buys.
Yeah, and see, but they're pushing it pretty hard. I mean, they're using this little bit of time in AEW TV. There's not a whole lot going on. They're not building to anything else. They're using a lot of the time to build up to this show. So I anticipate this being a pretty big deal. And yeah, when you put FTR and Briscoes on there, that match got so much buzz during WrestleMania weekend. That was the talk of the weekend. So that match, in addition to a lot of the other stuff they put on the show, I think so far it looks really, really good. So I'm
now,
in.
if it's just on Bleacher Report, though, I think that's going to hurt it.
That's
right?
Yeah, and that's what I'd like to know is if is it going to be anywhere else. I know outside of the U.S. it's available on Fight. People in the U.S. it is not available on Fight, which kind of stinks because I trust Fight a lot more than I trust Bleacher Report Live. If it's available on standard pay-per-view, that'd be great because that's how I'll order it. But yeah, as far as I know right now, Bleacher Report only. So that's I don't love that.
It's the 27th, right?
It is the 23rd.
23rd. All right.
Are you checking your pay-per-view provider right now?
Yeah, but it might be too far out.
Yeah, this is a little bit.
It's not listed on DirecTV.
Yeah, Xfinity. Let me double check. I don't think. Yes, I checked it a little bit earlier, and no, it is not available on Xfinity yet either.
So if it's not on cable satellite, then again, what was Supercard of Honor was just on Fight, right?
Yeah.
But I think at this point, wrestling fans trust Fight more than Bleacher Report.
Yeah, people do not trust Bleacher Report.
Fight, people are kind of used to. They use it for Game Changer. They use it for New Japan. They were using it for Ring of Honor already. Bleacher Report, every wrestling fan's experience with that, the one time they were on there, sucked. Remember how terrible that was when they put Fight for the whatever that first show was?
Yeah. Fight for the Fallen.
Or Fighter Fest, whatever there was one of them was on.
Didn't go well. Did not go well.
And it didn't go well at all. It was from Daly's Place, right? Before they had TV, even before they had TV, I think. But did not go well, and I think there's going to be some apprehension. So I think that might hurt the buys a bit. But as we get closer and see the card and get a better feel and see where you can buy the thing, I'll be more confident in putting out. Because, I am Lord Lanza, king of the pay-per-view prediction.
Here we go. Yeah.
So, I will make my official proclamation several days before the show, which, will obviously be very accurate. So that's ROH.
I'll play the ding, dong, dong, dong.
I got to play my music. Of course you can play my music.
Say, I declare.
That's right. Play my music.
Hear ye, hear thee.
Ring the bells. I will put on my robe and my scepter.
Yeah.
And I will make the official prediction. I'm just not ready to make it right now. Right, but I am very excited about this pay-per-view and Ring of Honor. That last show rocked.
Oh, yeah. Ring of Honor is going to rule. Yeah, Ring of Honor under Tony is going to fucking rock. So I can't wait.
I am bullish on the new Ring of Honor. What's next?
Next, Joe, unfortunately, I regret to inform you that the future of sports entertainment will have to wait because it will not be happening any longer on July 9th. WES, their debut show, Wrestling Entertainment Series, the show scheduled for the Motor Point Arena in Nottingham, England, has been canceled. But up until 2 hours before the cancellation, they were promoting their asses off with great quotes like this, which you could expect if and when WES comes back. Quote, "We're not like any other wrestling organization." A lot of people will see that after our first show. It's going to be something that hasn't been seen before in professional wrestling. It'll have a lot of different changes to it. For example, we're going to have pre- and post-fight conferences. We're going to have stare-downs the night before fights, before matches. It's a good twist. Something new that we think the wrestling industry needs.
I'm excited. How do I watch this, Rich?
Conferences, NFTs.
Yes.
WES has a lot to offer to the world, but unfortunately, multiple talents had come out saying that they either weren't paid or weren't given any information on travel just days before the show. Some people straight up saying, I don't think I'm on this show. I know I'm on the poster, but I don't think I've ever been actually told that I was on the show. And then finally yesterday at 3:52 p.m. the word came down. Quote, "Dear fans and followers, unfortunately, we will have to cancel the event scheduled for this Saturday at the Motorpoint Arena in Nottingham, England. We are deeply disappointed in the news that we have to share, but with so many talent not showing up, we will have no choice than to cancel the event." I love the idea that, well, the talent's not going to show up, so we're ready. We totally have everything ready to go. It's just the talent's not going to show up, so we have to cancel the event. Just perfect stuff from the Legion of Pain, the former authors of Pain here, saying, oh, the talent's not showing up, so we have no choice. Our team worked so hard on this event day in and day out for the fans to come with a different type of wrestling event and believe that we will still be able to show that in the near future. We do want to say that all of our talent that was scheduled have been paid in full, and that Lena Finay, is that how you pronounce it? I don't know how to pronounce her actual name.
asking
The
me.
former Nia Jax. The former Nia Jax.
I'm not the Lord of Pronunciation.
Right, that is not you. You have not proclaimed that you are the Lord of Pronunciation. So I will go back and just call her FKA Nia Jax. So do the sentence again. We do want to say that all of our talent that was scheduled have been paid in full, and that the formerly known as Nia Jax was paid her deposit as well, while she changed her mind and did not want to show up and wrestle anymore. So just an incredible side swipe. They use all of our talent that was scheduled, then point her out and says, well, we paid her, but she didn't want to wrestle anymore. For now, we will have to apologize for this, but we promise that it will not end here. See you soon. Wrestling Entertainment Series. We talked about that a couple weeks ago. This thing had already been canceled and rescheduled once. Now it gets rescheduled again. The shit's never happening, by the way.
So now we can safely never talk about this.
Yes, we're done. I'm done. I never want to talk about it again. Yeah.
We're done.
We're Alistair Overeem, the Legion of Pain, stare downs, press conferences. It's all done.
It's never happening.
It's all over. NFTs, the Bull NFT that they seem to be sponsored by, whatever this thing is, we're done. We're done, and that's good because
it gets added to the pile with Control Your Narrative, never to be spoken of again on this show. We're done.
Yep. So that is Wrestling Entertainment Series. We're done. We'll never talk about it ever again. I did mention a little bit earlier that you did have to ask a few questions of why a lot of talent that doesn't appear anywhere else was suddenly booked for this show, like Samurai Del Sol, who doesn't work anywhere because he's too expensive, didn't show up. Nia Jax, who hasn't worked anywhere, was showing up. Like No Way Jose, the formerly known No Way Jose, was going to show up on the show. There was a lot of dudes that you were like, where's that guy been?
The Get Hyped guy?
Mojo Rawley, Dean, whatever the fuck, he was going to be there too. So I feel bad for that guy because he, like, everybody else was like, look, like Cardona was laughing because people were like, I haven't been told anything. He was like, yeah, dude, this thing's fucking fucked. Like, don't go. He was just basically replying to guys like, I knew this was fucked. Why are you guys even thinking you were going to go? Nia Jax being like, look, I don't even think I was ever booked for this show, to be honest. Like, Drama King Matt being like, hey, it's like 4 days before and I don't have any flight information. Like, what the fuck's going to happen? But my man Mojo Rawley was like 3 days prior, was like, get hyped, baby. WS is coming. Like, he thought he was going to England and he was going to walk up to the Motor Point Arena and just tear the fucking house down with Big Damo. You know what I mean? He was hyped.
You know what this was? This was all of these people finally getting booked at their exorbitant rates. Right. So they were excited about that.
And not realizing, wait a minute.
Someone finally agreed to pay these people the massive sums of money that because that's why they don't get booked anywhere else.
Right.
And they thought it was going to be like a reunion of 2015 NXT. And they were all going to hang out in England and fucking, eat fish and chips and make a ton of money. And the gang was going to be back together. And it just it didn't work out. So
yeah, I believe one person said that they ticket estimates were about 350 tickets sold. It was a 10,000 seat arena, so that's not great.
That'll do it.
That's not great. That's I'm not a mathematician, Joe, but I believe that's only 3.5% of the venue capacity. 350 tickets of 10,000, so that's not ideal. So
I hope those people get their money back. But I'm skeptical.
Yeah, so that is RIP to Wrestling Entertainment Series. It might exist again, but it will never exist again on this show. So we bid adieu to them. By the way, their Fight TV link goes to a Dead 404 page. So that was a worry from some people. Nice. Why is it still available? Why can I still order the show? Well, now you can no longer order the show. It's gone. So.
Well, if they claim they paid everybody, why not just do the fucking show?
Because the talent wasn't going to show up, Joe. Quote, we are deeply disappointed in the news that we have to share, but with so many talent not showing up, we will have no choice but to cancel the event.
Right. Blame the talent.
But like Drama King Matt was like, I don't have a flight. Like, how am I going to get to England? They just want they want me to book my own. Like, what is going on here? I haven't heard any details.
They sold 300 tickets, and then said, we're not paying for any flights. Fuck this. We're canceling this thing, and we'll blame them and say they're not coming.
Right. Well, they're not coming. So.
Right.
I love it. I never knew these guys were as big of grifters as they were, but good for them. So
now the authors of pain are the promoters, right?
The Legion of Pain. The Legion of Pain, Joe.
Yeah. Jeez, they're fucking over their pals. Like
they really are. Yeah, they're done. They're kind of done now, right?
Yeah, they're
like
done.
none of these dudes want to ever work for them. Maybe Mojo. Mojo, I feel like, because I think he's still going there. Did you read the Mojo tweets? He was like, well, I'm scheduled for a meet and greet. I'm still going to be there, and I'm going to donate everything to, like, he's going to donate it to charity. And was just like, let's fucking go, man. Because I think he already booked.
There, like,
well, he said he
Virgil
booked him and his wife to, like, go to England. So I think he's just going to go to England and have a good time.
Fly himself to
I think
England.
he's just going to fly there and eat some fish and chips, drink some beer, and enjoy his vacation. So stay hyped. Yeah, I appreciate him. But yeah, none of the other people will be showing up there. So
he's going to eat some fries with the beans on the fries with the peas. You ever see the fries with like peas?
What's the sandwich with the French fries on? Is that a toasty sandwich? What is that?
That has peas on it too. They love peas over there.
Peas are
What's
good.
with the peas? No, but it's like those wet looking peas.
Yeah, they don't look like good peas. Yeah, what is the fries on the French fries on a sandwich thing called? A chip buddy. Chip buddy. That was what it's called. Yeah.
Chip buddy.
Which I love sandwiches and I love French fries. You couldn't fucking pay me to eat a sandwich that's just made of French fries.
There's a Twitter account that tweets like just football food from the soccer games.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, it's the worst.
All looks awful. Like none of it ever looks good. And I don't know if the account knows that it looks bad and that's the point, or if it's like you're supposed to be like, hell yeah, a pile of wet peas on some French fries for 7 pounds. I'm all in. Like I don't know, like if like that's the idea, or if you're supposed to think it stinks. Like I can't figure that out. Maybe that's why they're all the British wrestling fans are so grumpy. They're eating
chip buddies. They're eating chip buddies and pea sandwiches all day. So.
Yeah, they're eating pea sandwiches. Like, peas. That's like that's like baby food here. Like no one eats peas after you have teeth. It's like you can only peas are like Gerber baby food, and maybe you get it in a hospital, right? To give you some peas, right? Some mashed peas.
Or I do a pea purchase every so often where I'm like, I haven't had peas in a while. Then I have them. I'm like, yeah, that's why I don't have peas very often. I get like a frozen bag of peas and I boil it, and I'm just like, this fucking stinks. What am I doing with this? So.
Peas are a gimmick vegetable. Like
I will say I like them when I have them, but then I'm just like, why am I eating peas? Like,
it's to go to like you bump your head, you get the bag of peas like that. No one really eats them, It's like,
I think I like them more than you do, but I also don't like them. It's a weird thing where like I have them and I'm like, yeah, they're fine, and then I'm like, I'm not gonna buy them again. Like it's not every week where I'm like, add peas. No. If you're going out, nurse, like give me peas. I need peas. Like I'll sometimes buy them. I kind of like enjoy them slightly, but then I don't think about them ever again. So.
Meanwhile, everyone at the Everton match is enjoying some peas on chips at their fucking soccer game. Is that a team, Everton? I think it is.
Yes. You're asking literally the worst person on earth. I believe Everton is indeed a football club. But
Everton's facing Liverpool in a
do they face each other? Yeah, probably.
They're probably both.
You've probably bet on a few of those
right?
games. Yeah. I don't know.
No. I'm not that much
bet
of
on
a
the footy.
I know nothing about it. I would never bet on the footy.
On the beautiful game. You don't bet on the beautiful game.
So Everton and Liverpool. Liverpool is Premier League for sure. Everton.
What was the team you said earlier?
Everton.
No, the other one. Oh, did you say Liverpool after that?
Liverpool.
Yeah.
I said Everton versus Liverpool.
Yeah.
Like Liverpool has to be. They're like a big time team, right? Yeah, I think they're a big time team.
Yeah.
But
I think I have a lot of friends that are Liverpool fans, I believe. So, I think. Are they Man U? No, they're Liverpool fans. Yes, I have friends that are big Liverpool fans. Yeah.
Yeah, then there's Man U. And then there's...
right. I don't think because one time I said, "Or you guys?" and they were like, "No."
Well, they'll get real mad. Yeah,
right. Because that's I think they're like the Yankees, right? Are they like the Yankees? Because they're like, "No, I'm not a Man U." Like Liverpool, and I was like, "All right, whatever, dude."
Then there's Man City as well. So you don't want to get those two confused.
Yeah. The only man that I address is the Isle of Man. So that's
Isle of Man.
Which, by the way, fun fact, we'll talk about it a little bit later. I might be going to the Isle of Man very soon.
What?
And meeting the Isle of Man.
You're really going to the Isle of Man?
I believe we are.
Why?
Why not?
Is this your next vacation?
We're going to go to, we believe we're going to go to Ireland. And the Isle of Man is a quick hop and a skip and a jump away. So.
Specifically to visit Isle of Man guy?
No, not really. Well, sort of. So I mentioned that we were looking at Ireland. And I said, right by the Isle of Man. And The nurse is like, yeah, all right. And then I was like, well, speaking of the Isle of Man, like, she didn't want any more Isle of Man lore. Like, she didn't give a shit. You know what I mean? She's like, yeah, okay, whatever. Then I gave her the whole Isle of Man story. And then she was like, are we going to go see him? And I was like, I don't know. So I messaged him, and I'm like, hey, Isle of Man, if I come to the Isle of Man, will you see me? And he's like, fuck yeah, I'll see you. So I think we're going to the Isle of Man. So, I mean, when else can you...
Mania weekends and shit. You met him, right?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, well, I met the guy. He's like a normal dude. He's a great guy. So, yeah. So she was like, well, that sounds awesome. So let's go see Isle of Man. So then the nurse is all in on Isle of Man. So.
All right, well, there you go.
And then I told her the story that we're the top podcast on the Isle of Man.
Yeah, that's right.
I said it
Number one.
Swayed by one man because there's not that many people there, but that's fine. We found the guy. We found the guy. Told her the lore of, like, we did the Isle of Man bit for like 4 months, and then, like, that's when he messaged us and said, hi, I am from the Isle of Man, and I think I'm the reason you guys are the number one wrestling podcast in the Isle of Man. And we were like, well, thank you, Isle of Man. And then we met him in New York. So
yeah, he was in New Orleans. I've seen him at multiple Mania weekends.
There you go. So if he can come to New Orleans and to New York, I can go to the Isle of Man if I'm going to be right there, right?
I feel bad because his accent is so thick, I have to ask him to repeat himself a lot. I think he gets a little frustrated, but I try though. It's not like I'm not being a wise guy. Like, it's just very thick. That's some dialect of the English accent, right? Like the British.
I'll find out. I guess I'll find out in the next.
Fuck, I don't know what the fuck I'm saying.
Next couple months. Yes. So Liverpool is in the Premier League.
We find out if Everton is in the Premier League.
No, and I don't care.
Okay,
we'll move on. Noah, let's finish up with Noah here. You want to talk about
Fulham is now. Fulham got promoted again. TK doing a nice job.
TK's team, right? Yeah. Okay. Good for them.
I don't know. That's it. They yo-yo. You know, they'll. How many games do they play in the EPL? You don't know the answer to that. They play like 25 games.
Sure.
They go like 12 and 13 and get demoted again.
Yeah, great. Yeah,
I don't know.
That's true. Yeah.
Are you on top of this transfer period? Rich?
Oh, always on top of I always want to see if the Leicester, however you pronounce it, City or whatever, is doing something. I don't know.
Maybe they get David Beckham or something, right?
Right. Pele. Is Freddie Adu? Is Freddie Adu going to show up?
Does Beckham still bend it? Or,
I'm sure. Yeah.
You know, Freddie Adu is probably like 27.
No,
right?
He's got to be. Yeah, I don't know. How old is Freddie Adu at this point? He's not good. Like, wasn't he not good? He also wasn't good, right?
No, because he was a thing when he was like 13. I bet you he's super young.
Okay, how old do you think Freddie Adu is right now?
29.
33.
Oh, okay.
You're getting old. You're getting old.
Is he still playing? What's his club?
His club is Oosterlin FF. I don't know what that is. It was announced that Adu has joined Oosterlin FF, recently promoted to the 3rd tier of Swedish football. That's not good.
Wait, he's playing 3rd tier Sweden?
Yes. I told you, I don't think he was good. I think it ended up not.
No, he was terrible. He was definitely terrible.
It ended up not going great.
But I figured maybe he'd be like a benchman on a real team. 3rd tier Sweden?
Oosterlin FF. 3rd tier Sweden. Unfortunately, on February 16, 2021, after only a month in Sweden, it was announced that Adu's contract has been terminated.
Yeah, he didn't play one game, it says.
Yeah, so the manager says that. But when you are away for so long, he has barely trained with us. He has defects all along, and I do not see that he has the mental strength required to recover.
God damn, that's the quote?
Yeah, yikes.
Mental defects that he can't recover from?
No, he had defects. And he doesn't have the mental strength to require. Well,
that's no better.
That's not much better. They just separated mental and defects into different parts of the sentence. But yeah, it didn't.
Man. They don't fuck around with the Swedish 3rd tier.
Dude, don't fuck around. Yeah, don't. Oosterlin FF isn't fucking around here, so.
Well, listen, he could come back here and play for the fucking San Jose Earthquakes or something, right?
The New York Cosmos. He can play for the New York Cosmos.
Is the MLS stronger than the Swedish 3rd league? I'm sure. It has to be. There's because
there's teams that draw. There's teams that actually draw in the MLS.
Not only that, but the MLS every now and then will get a legitimate
We are in.
European
How
star.
upset are people about the last 10 minutes of the show?
Are you kidding me? They love it.
So many comments. No, people are just gonna be like, "You dumbasses, Liverpool's, Everton." Yeah, it's gonna be great.
So I think because the MLS will sometimes get a legitimate big-time international star that's slightly on the downside, right? I think it's a stronger league than the Swedish third tier.
Thirdish Swedes. Yeah, I would guess that that is correct. Yeah. And some of the places in MLS will draw 17,000 people to the game. I don't think 17,000 people are going to watch Oosterland FF and in the.
Yeah. I don't know. That's got to be terrible. It's probably the size of the high school fields around here, Swedish third league, right? Yeah. Do we have any Swedish listeners that are going to get pissed off at us because they're big fans or something?
We do have Swedish listeners. I don't know if they're big third-tier soccer league, football league fans. So I guess we'll see.
You can call it soccer. You're American.
No, I don't want. I get.
Yeah, but it's legitimate here because it's legitimately confusing. You can call it soccer if you want, right? Yeah. All right.
Pro Wrestling Noah Destination. We'll end out with this. Quickly, you want to talk about Pro Wrestling Noah Destination 2022 next week, July 16th from Budokan Hall. Main event Kojima and Kano on this show. But there's some other fun stuff. It's a big show. There's a lot of names, a lot of weird names as well. The current booking of Noah is very strange with weird. Randomly in the middle of the show, Ninja Mac versus Dante Leon. What? What's going on?
Yeah.
Noah's strange as hell right now. Also, Keiji Muto, Kaito Kiyomiya. Will he be getting his win back? Keiji Muto retirement road match.
Well, let's talk about that.
Yeah, let's do it.
This is a pivotal show because this is Kiyomiya's last crack at Muto. Because Muto's only allegedly doing, 5 or 6 matches or whatever on this retirement. Right? So, first of all, let me make this clear. And I think you agree. I don't even think it matters if Kiyomiya beats him at this point. The ship has sailed. I don't think it does anything for Kiyomiya. And I don't think it'll be an impactful win even if he beats Muto. But the thing about it is I don't think he's going to beat Muto because I think they're going to build to Muto Kojima. And you can't do that if Muto loses. So what's your feel here?
Yeah, no, and I agree. I think Muto's going to win a lot of these matches in this build-up, especially this one. I mean, definitely this one. To me, it's almost a no-brainer that he's going to win this one because you got to build a future of these matches. And I think there's ones down the line that they think are more important and ones that they do want to build to and ones that they do want to draw. You start having Muto lose all these matches, people are going to start saying, you know what, he's just going to lose all these matches. I think you need to have him win a few to make those last few be legitimate draws and be ones that people want to see. So to me, there's almost no doubt that he beats Kiyomiya here. And then,
Yeah, and
I guess we take our victory lap, but I don't know. We'll see. I don't even know. Is it even worth the victory lap at this point? I mean, we've been right for 2 years. We're still even if he wins, we're still right. So
that's what I said. If Kiyomiya wins, does it even matter?
No,
it doesn't matter. The ship is long sailed.
Fourth match from the top on the show. I mean, yeah, it doesn't matter.
So, and in the way that the feud has gone down, it's this, he had a chance to have an impactful win over him. This wouldn't be it.
No.
Kojima against Kano is a really interesting match. Kojima's definitely winning, but I want to see those two guys work against each other because Kojima always works hard. Kano always works hard, but Kano also works stiff.
Yeah, I wonder. This is going to be an interesting one to see how stiff he works.
So I'm definitely into that match. Hayata versus Saiki Yoshioka for the junior title. Whatever. Elgin and Kitamiya defend the tag titles against Hideki Suzuki and Tim Thatcher. Suzuki got Thatcher in. I think Noah is the perfect spot for Thatcher. So I'm going to give this every opportunity with Thatcher. He hasn't impressed me all that much yet. I legitimately was a fan of Thatcher in NXT. It's the only place other than maybe Germany where I enjoyed his work. And I didn't see a ton of the German stuff. But I'm going to give him every chance with the Noah run. And I feel like they're probably going to win that match. we talked about Muto Kiyomiya. I noticed that Nakajima is in a 6-man tag. It's Shiozaki, Segura, and Fujita against Masakatsu Funaki, Nakajima, and Manabu Soya. Is this the beginning of the Nakajima Job to Everyone tour? Like, is that what we're going to get here?
Yeah, it kind of feels like we're going to... He's got to kind of pay his dues a little bit here. I don't know if it's Job to Everybody and never come back, but I think he's got some dues paying that he's going to have to do over the next couple of weeks and months. And this looks like, this definitely looks like one that it's going to start. Because I don't see a whole lot of other people in that match that could take a fall, that they want to take a fall, if knowing Noah's booking. So I think he's taking that fall there for sure.
Alternate take. Does Noah think it's cool that he knocked out the DDT champion? Because Noah's fucked up.
They would think it's cool if, like, Fujita did it, but they don't think it's cool that Nakajima did it. Does that make sense?
Right, they don't like him because they think he's a little nerd.
Right, they think he's a nerd and he's a prick and he's a little kid and he needs to learn his dues and stuff. So no, if, like, Segura did it, they think it's awesome, but not him, no.
Do you remember many months ago, I said that Rob Van Dam was coming into Noah full-time, or not full-time, but as a semi-regular, and not just coming in for the cyber fight. And I also noted that it was Masato Tanaka that was the intermediary there. Do you remember when I said that many months ago?
You guessed that was that you, out of nowhere, you just woke up one day and said, aha, I know.
I'm going to make this up. And
fiddled with your mustache and said, haha, I got it. Rob Van Dam and Noah and Masato Tanaka is going to be the sponsor. Oh, wait, weird. They're facing each other now, or they're in a team together.
So anyway, Rob Van Dam and Masato Tanaka team together on this show against Nosawa Rongai and Super Crazy. So crazy how that one worked out.
You've done it again. You've correctly guessed again. Yeah,
it's incredible. Ninja Mac versus Dante Leone. I'm assuming Ninja Mac got this guy in. What a weird Noah match. Ninja Mac versus
smack dab in the middle of the show. There's a bunch of tag matches, and then there's Ninja Mac versus Dante Leone. Just like a IWTV match that you just see on some random indie, and it's just here. So
then a bunch of undercard tags and stuff. So that's the 16th.
That is the 16th. Yes, that is starting the same day that the G1 is starting as well. So.
Oh, fantastic. There'll be plenty of time to squeeze that all in.
Plenty of wrestling to watch on the 16th. So,
we probably could have done this next week, but we didn't have any material for this week.
No, we wanted to fit it in to give it the last little bit. So maybe we'll talk about it again next week as well. Maybe we'll get some new stuff from there. But a lot of wrestling going on in Japan we've gotten a little bit of a delay from Japan, but like Dragon Gate's ramping up, Noah's ramping up, G1's ramping up. It's going to get a little wild here over the next couple weeks in Japan. So definitely get ready for that as well. But that is it for this episode of the Flagship. Of course, you want to go to flagshippatreon.com to get additional content from both Joe and I. $5 tier, $10 tier, you're going to get all of the content on the $10 tier, all of our written stuff, live flagships, instant reaction lives, everything we do. $5 tier gets you all the VOW retro series as well as the Thursday TV reviews. So price points for both there, flagshippatreon.com, patreon.com/voice of wrestling, or voicesofwrestling.com/patreon. Also, the Flagship is a part of the Voice of Wrestling Podcast Network. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast network as well as the other shows. We mentioned the You've Got to Be Kidding Me a little bit earlier, but we have plenty of other great stuff there on the Voice of Wrestling Podcast Network. Days of Thunder, Shake Them Ropes, Open the Voice Gate, talking about Dragon Gate. We also have Emerald Flow Show, talking about All Japan and Noah. Tons of great stuff there. Music of the Mat, one of the best shows, one of the best wrestling podcasts going. Just great stuff from Andrew Rich every single time out there on Music of the Mat. So great stuff there. Voice of Wrestling Podcast Network. Make sure you subscribe to that to get all of the shows on there. So that is it for us. So for Joe, I'm Rich. And
everyone should...
Oh, go ahead.
Everyone should subscribe to the network and to each show so we get double action on the downloads.
Yes, do that. And download every episode. And I don't even think you have to hit play. Just download them and then you can delete them. But just download them. Just download them because downloads are good. And then we all make much more money. So, all right. That is it for us. So for Joe, I am Rich. We'll talk to you next time on The Flash.
What are you doing tonight? Because Applebee's has new half-price appetizers that'll make late nights great nights every night. From boneless buffalo wings and brewpub pretzels to chicken wonton tacos and more, your favorite scrumptious shareables are half the price from late night to later night. So call your crew, squad, BFFs, or gather some loose acquaintances and get to Applebee's after dark for half-price appetizers. Turn up, get lit, it's live. Whatever they're saying these days, do it for half the price at Applebee's. For a limited time, dine in only. Price and participation may vary.